Good morning. I'm Amanda Hansen here at the Action News 5 digital desk. You know, temperatures starting to heat up, people wanting to get out and about and travel. And man, it's that time of year, right? So, you know, the pandemic, a lot of people were impacted. They weren't able to get out and about, and older adults are more ready than ever to vacation with their families. And so we want to take a look at the annual AARP Travel Trends Survey, get an insight on the latest on travel behaviors, expectations, that sort of thing. So joining me now to talk more about it is Jim Linehan. He is the travel editor for the AARP magazine. Jim, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
You know, I'm glad to have you on here. I think this is something a lot of people, they're itching to get out and travel more. So let's talk about this survey and just some of the findings that really stood out to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So our travel trends survey this year showed, as you just stated, people are eager to get out there and travel. And what they're most interested in is family travel. So spending time with their family is really important. And specifically, they're really interested in road trips this year. Road trips are an economical way to travel and provide a lot of flexibility and good time with the family.
You know, despite those inflated prices, most Americans 50 plus, they're planning to travel. What types of trips are they taking? What are people looking for?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, the road trip really provides you with a great way to travel on a budget. And we've all seen the news stories about, you know, the airport hassles, the flight delays. Of course, we know, you know, with inflation, airfares have really gone up. And so even with gas prices, you know, maybe a little high, but not too bad right now. But even with that, people are finding that car trips are really an economical way to travel. And of course, as I mentioned, it's a great way to spend time with family.
Oh, for sure. And like you said, all these inflated prices, I like the idea of taking those road trips. Gas prices, I mean, a year ago were much worse than what they are right now, from what I can remember. So if you are that family that's wanting to get together, take those family vacations where it's maybe grandmother and the, you know, mom and dad and the kiddos, grandkids, what is a good way to budget? Do you have any tips on maybe some of the best avenues to do that?
Yeah, we do. So, of course, you know, you want to save money while you're on the trip as well. And three quick tips for you. I would say one is really get to know that GPS app you have, because besides just, you know, telling you what route to take, a lot of times there's gas price information in real time there, so you can save money at the pump by choosing the right station. Book your hotel really as early as you can in the planning process, because that's often how you get the best rate. Although sometimes they're also last minute deals. So as I mentioned, road trips are flexible, so sometimes you can take advantage of last minute deals as well. A third thing, take advantage of those rewards and loyalty programs out there from hotel chains, but also from third-party booking sites that let you book travel from across providers. They often have rewards programs as well. And I should mention, AARP membership is a great way to save money on travel as well. Members get deals on all sorts of travel perks, car rentals and hotels and so on.
Oh, for sure. I've gone and looked at some of those deals too, so they are pretty good. Let's talk about, in the survey, does it talk about maybe where people are wanting to go, those places that kind of stand out, that people are saying, hey, I want to go there?
Yes, absolutely. Now, I will tell you personally, if it were me, I'd want to take a road trip to Memphis and enjoy all the incredible music attractions you have there. But in the survey, here's what people told us. One of the top places to travel was Florida, which makes a lot of sense, especially for family travel. You know, theme parks, the beach, lots of things for families to do there. They also told us that California is a popular destination. And then interestingly, even for family travel, people want to go to Las Vegas. So we think of that maybe as more adults oriented, but there's a lot of things for families to do there as well.
That was an interesting one. I wouldn't think that for the family vacation, but you're right. There are a lot of things to do there that's even geared more towards the kids. And hey, you're welcome to Memphis anytime. Definitely some good food along with that music.
I'm coming right out.
Absolutely. Well, hey, where can people go if they want to get some more information about the things we were talking about today?
Yeah, so visit our website, aarp.org/travel. We not only have information about this travel trends survey, but also articles with vacation ideas and travel tips. And also, as I mentioned, the member discounts there as well.
Well, good stuff. Well, Jim Linehan, we appreciate your time this morning. Thank you for joining us here on the Digital Desk. You have a good one, all right?
All right. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Then yesterday was really nice, a live look from our High 5 camera in Midtown Memphis. It's just gorgeous out there. And, you know, if you didn't get a chance to enjoy that weather yesterday, you're going to get another dose of it today. It's going to be nice outside. I know I had a few people yesterday that were out washing their cars, so it'll be a good day to do it today. And it's just gorgeous out there. This is how I like to start my mornings, especially midweek when you're trying to get through that midweek hurdle. The sun really helps with that. But let's go ahead and check in with meteorologist Brittany Bryant, because we do have some rain chances heading into the weekend. So she's going to set you up with what you need to know.
Hey, good morning. Those pollen levels are off the charts now that we have that warmer weather in place. Everything's starting to grow again. Grass and tree pollen will be the main issues with this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. A 9 out of 10. Only thing that could help us out, there's some rain on Saturday night that hopefully will wash out away some of that pollen and improve conditions for Sunday. Today, though, allergies a problem, but no issues here in the weather otherwise. Sunshine, 74 at noon, 76 at 3 o'clock, upper 70s at 5, and right around 73 by 7 o'clock tonight. First alert feature keeping us nice and dry and sunny through the afternoon, as I mentioned, but around midnight tonight, it's cloudy, and we may even sneak out a stray shower in areas like Batesville and Oxford, Memphis, even getting in on some of this, as well as areas in eastern portions of Shelby County like Collierville and Arlington, Bartlett, Cordova. Around 9 o'clock in the morning tomorrow is what you're looking at. It will be very light, spotty rain, but still something to keep in mind for the way into work tomorrow. We'll still have a chance for a stray shower in the afternoon. This is 3 o'clock, but most of us stay dry as we get a little later in the day. On Thursday, rain chances at 30% tomorrow, 20% Friday. Can't completely rule out a shower, but we'll probably hold off on rain in most areas until Saturday night. So let's look at first alert featurecast for Saturday at noon. We're dry. So the morning, the afternoon, I'm not expecting much, if any, rain. But by 7 o'clock at night, there's those showers starting to creep into eastern Arkansas. Maybe in Millington, seeing a little bit of rain. But if you're in Memphis, you likely won't see any rain until around 8 or 9 o'clock at night. Still raining at midnight, though. And then showers push out of here by the time you get up on Sunday morning. This is 7 a.m. We're done with the rain. Rainfall totals will probably be close to an inch in Brownsville and Dyersburg, about a quarter to a half inch from Memphis into Holly Springs and Marks. No severe weather expected with this. There will be some instability, so you'll probably hear some rumbles of thunder. But if you want more details on that rain chance, you can get that on our First Alert weather app. Our First Alert 7-day forecast shows temperatures in the 70s through next week. 77 today, 73 tomorrow. It is a little cooler compared to today just because there'll be more clouds and again a few showers possible. 75 on Friday, upper 70s Saturday. With that cold front moving through Saturday night, that will bring our high down to 70 on Sunday, but we're back up to the mid 70s at the start of next week.
Let's switch gears here and talk about the nursing shortage, because that is a real problem, not only across Memphis and the Mid-South, but across the country. Regional One Health has a prescription for that nursing shortage, and it has to deal with a unique nurse residency program. Let's bring in Rachel Kemp, Associate Chief Nursing Officer with Regional One Health, to talk more about this program. Good morning, Rachel. Tell us about the program and what makes it so unique.
Good morning, Andrew, and thanks for having me on to talk about this wonderful program that we have at Regional One Health. So at Regional One Health, we know that the way to combat this nursing shortage is to really focus on development of our new nurses that are coming out of our local nursing schools across Memphis. And they've had a unique challenge in these nursing programs because of COVID. They've been so limited in their clinical experience. So what we are aiming to do is to revamp the nursing residency programs that have already existed in nursing for years. What we do differently is really meet our new nurses that are coming out of nursing school where they are. We give them surveys. We ask them constantly, what's keeping you up at night? What really makes you struggle when you come to work every day to know that you are meeting the needs of your patients and providing safe patient care. So we have a wonderful professional development team here at Regional One Health that builds a curriculum 100% around the needs of these nursing students to give them tailored education that they need in order to give the best care that they can as nurses and make them feel comfortable and safe in giving that care. And so that's what we're really excited about, is to really focus on what these students need and making them the best nurses possible.
So tell me how long this program's been around, and is this for anyone in nursing school?
So this program started at Regional One in 2021. We just graduated our first cohort, and we are beginning cohort number 5. And this program follows these nurses through their first year of nursing practice. This program is open to any graduate nurse who has graduated from an accredited school of nursing, not just in Memphis, but anywhere across the nation. If you want to come to Regional One, we would love to have you in whatever specialty you're interested in. And they receive mentor opportunities. They receive just specialized education and experiences through their whole first year after graduation.
What kind of results are you seeing from this program? I guess since it's been around 2021, you're starting to see some, right?
Absolutely. So studies show that nurses are more likely to leave their first workplace in their first year of their nursing career. And we were seeing the same things at Regional One. So nurses in their first year were leaving our organization at over a 60% rate before this program. And we've been able to decrease those numbers by more than 50%. And we only lost 1 to 2 nurses in our first year after our first year of the program. So we're really excited about that kind of result, and we feel comfortable that we are giving them what they need to be successful.
Tell me about the impact that this program is having to your staff and your patients.
So patient care is always at the very center of what we do at Regional One, and we want to make sure that they have all the tools that they have to give great care. So they are followed not only by their preceptors, and we've even revamped their preceptor programs to allow extra education for our experienced nurses that are giving this mentorship to our new nurses. And so we make sure that they get elevated skills and that they have just someone that is there for them, that they can ask any question that they need to ask. And in addition to those, we have our professional development specialists who are almost like big sisters and brothers to these nurses, and it's a safe space where they can go talk to somebody who they don't necessarily directly report to get that extra support. And we've had excellent feedback from our new nurses that are in the program, as well as their peers who are the experienced nurses. And we're seeing great results from our patients. We provide great quality here at Regional One, and we see very low numbers of harm events and things. So we know that we are keeping our patients safe here.
If someone is interested in applying for this program, take me through the process. How do they do it?
So they would go to our Regional One Health page and choose careers, and there is a position listed that is called Registered Nurse Resident. Now, if you are a nursing student that has not graduated yet, we also have opportunities for you to start at our organization as a student, and those are called Student Nurse Externs. And you can start working in our organization on an PRN basis, so it works with your school schedule, and we go ahead and get you some clinical experience alongside our nurses so that you can learn not only extra patient care that you don't get in nursing school or in addition to your nursing school, and also, learn how we do things at Regional One Health.
Rachel Kemp, I really appreciate your time, Associate Chief Nursing Officer at Regional One Health. Congratulations on a great program, and thank you for explaining to us how it's helping your patients, your nurses, your staff, and everyone at Regional Health. We appreciate your time.
Thanks, Andrew.
One of the best interviews that you're going to see on the Action News 5 digital desk has to do with food. And each and every week or so, we interview the food reporter at the Commercial Appeal. And we have got a treat for you because Jennifer Chandler is joining us on the digital desk. And she's going to be talking about the top 10 best places for brunch, either after church or with friends, having some mimosas, that sort of thing. I have to say, Jennifer, when we heard that we were talking with you about brunch, everyone in the newsroom, they lit up with their own little responses and what they liked and what they didn't like. How was it like putting together this list?
Well, actually, it was a very daunting task. So I got the help of my newsroom. So this was kind of a collaboration effort for the newsroom at the Commercial Appeal. And I had everyone share what their favorite brunch spot was, and they went out to them and they did little mini reviews and told us what their favorite dishes are. So it was a really fun story to write. I like doing these collaboration things because sometimes they're ones that maybe weren't on my list before that I think I need to revisit.
Well, that's awesome. There are some on the list that I recognize, and there are some that I haven't been to yet. So I'm eager to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, well, let's get going. So the first one on the list is the Beauty Shop, and that's in the Cooper Young neighborhood and has been around for a very long time, very beloved, known for its Saturday and Sunday brunches. Michaela Watts, that was her favorite pick, and she went her go-to order there is the Eggs Benedict, which you can get in many different ways, but she likes the kind of traditional one that's done with brown sugar honey ham. That's what you see in that picture right there. And it has a really velvety hollandaise on it, a little arugula, to give it a modern spin. And she often orders it. They have this manchego and arugula and nectarine salad that she sometimes gets on the side with it. But it's a really good brunch spot. They've got great brunch cocktails as well. So Beauty Shop, classic, fun place to go for a Saturday or Sunday brunch.
For sure.
Next on the list is Magnolia and May. And Ray Padilla, who's our digital editor, likes to go there. And this is a tiny little restaurant by Chip and Amanda Dunham that is located off of Mendenhall. If you know where Gibson's and Gus's Fried Chicken is right there, kind of at Mendenhall, it's kind of tucked away on that side street behind Gus's. And it is a true neighborhood brasserie little restaurant, and it's always fun to go there. And they do serve brunch. And Ray's favorite dish there is the tacos con Memphis, which has a fun name. But those are just a really good loaded breakfast egg taco. So Magnolia, May, and East Memphis. Have you been there before?
I have, and what I also liked about it, Jennifer, is that it's this funky place. It's a little funky in there. It's like I think the silverware that you just saw, or the plates, there just kind of lets you know, has that connection to just kind of a funky, cool spot in Memphis. I love it.
Yeah, it's actually kind of feels like a midtown restaurant in East Memphis, if I dare say that.
Exactly.
Kind of has that vibe.
I like that. That's a good description.
Okay. Yeah. So, the next one on the list is one of my favorite, which is Edge Alley that I got to write about. And Edge Alley is located, actually that picture, we'll go back a minute. That's the liquor store. Then I'll go back to Edge Alley. So the liquor store is the picture that's up right now. And that one was with Corinne Kennedy. That was her favorite place. And that's on Broad Avenue. And it's got this really kind of cool, like Miami Cuban diner vibes inside. It's just Natalie Lieberman of Collect and Curate. It was one of her first big projects here in Memphis. It's really kind of cool retro feel to it. And one of their dishes, there's a signature, and it was also Corinne's favorite, is the sweet potato hash, which comes with eggs on top, and you can order a meat to go with it as well. And you can order bacon or sausage, but they have Cuban pork, and that's what Corinne recommended that she gets it with. And so that's a really kind of fun place to go. I really like their breakfast tacos. They've got fun cocktails on the menu too. I think that's kind of a requisite when you're going to brunch with friends, is to if you want to have a cocktail too, but they've got a great list of stuff on their menu. So let's go back to Edge Alley, which was one of the ones that I wrote about. So Edge Alley was this restaurant that I discovered back when the Commercial Appeals offices were in that big building, that iconic building on Union. This was kind of basically where I would go and get my lunch for a quick and easy lunch, or a quick and easy, cup of coffee, because it was literally like 1 block over. It's in the Edge District. And I kind of fell in love with it there. And it's kind of a neat, interesting space that Tim Barker has put together. He's the chef and owner, and he makes everything from scratch. I mean, when I talk about everything, he roasts his own coffee beans, for the Bloody Marys, he makes his own Bloody Mary mix. He even makes his crackers that he serves because he's right next to a brewery. And he uses some of their leftover, I guess it's the mash from the brewery, and he will use that to make crackers. But I have 2 go-to orders there. So if I'm feeling very hungry, I will get the steak and eggs, and they are perfectly cooked tenderloins with a perfectly cooked eggs on the side. Actually really, really great. It comes with a chimichurri sauce. I really, really love it. And then the picture, what you see right here, this is his ham and cheese quiche, which is like no other you will find in town, because he puts a layer of grainy mustard on the crust before adding the filling. And so it's kind of very reminiscent of a ham and cheese sandwich. It's kind of crazy, but it really, really works. And definitely,
I love it.
Favorite drink there, when I said that he roast his own coffee beans, I have lots of non-alcoholic coffee drinks that I like there, like his How Now Brown Cow, which is a salted caramel coffee latte. But the one I say to get is, oh my gosh, I'm gonna draw the blank on the name right now that I'm sitting here. He has one that's, it's like, I think it's called the Good Stuff. It's a bourbon spiked coffee drink. It's a really great way to start your brunch. So moving on down the list, Sunrise Memphis is a Memphis favorite, and now they have 2 locations. They have one on the original on Jefferson and one on East Memphis. It's at Poplar, kind of near Yates. And this is Chef Ryan Trim has done this business, and it's great. This is Evan Barnes. This was his pick. He's one of our sports reporters, and he prefers the Jefferson one because that's the one he's always been going to. And his favorite dish is the Rooster, which is a fried chicken biscuit that is pretty sinful and pretty good, because they make their biscuits from scratch, and there's a little bit of spice to this dish. So the fried chicken biscuit at Sunrise, if you haven't been there, try it. Again, they have a whole bunch of fun brunch cocktails on their menu too. So were any of those one of the ones you haven't been to yet? I'm curious.
I've never been to the Edge Alley, and that looks amazing. I gotta say, I mean, anyone who roasts their own coffee beans is not playing around.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and I forgot to mention, when you go, they have, you remember monkey bread when you were a kid, the kind of pull apart, with the biscuits and the cinnamon sugar that you would make. Well, he has a grown-up version of it on the appetizer menu, and it comes, and it's like it almost looks like a French pastry when it comes to your table, and it comes with a cinnamon dipping sauce, and it is so yummy. It's so good. We actually,
that's awesome.
It's perfect for sharing. It's big enough to share, but we kind of like ate some in the beginning, and then we saved some for dessert.
Oh, nice. Now, the liquor store, you mentioned, going back to the liquor store, Cuban influence, is that throughout the menu, throughout the day, or is that just for the breakfast?
It is throughout the day. They pretty much serve breakfast all day. Is what they're a diner. They have some kind of lunch type dishes as well, but there's definitely kind of a Cuban vibe before. The Toros that owned it. It recently just sold to the owners of South of Beale for just bought it actually earlier this year. But the people that started, Lisa Toro, her and her husband is, I think, of Cuban descent. He's from somewhere in like that, but I should know that and I don't know that. But that's what the influences on that menu are. So it's not a Cuban restaurant per se, but it almost feels like a Miami restaurant, kind of like it has like a vibe of Southern stuff and Cuban stuff and American stuff. And I mean, it's an eclectic menu, but it's fun.
I can't wait to check it out. Those are definitely on my list.
So, okay, well, let's move on to Bartlett, another part of town, to Biscuits and Jams. And this is a favorite spot of mine as well. Dima Amra wrote about it. And Dima is a vegetarian. And so I always love to include her in a story because I know there's so many vegetarians and vegans in Memphis now. And you're always looking for an option of where to go. And she says that Biscuits and Jams is one of her places to go that she can find something delicious to eat. And she likes the Blueberry Hill lemon blueberry waffle, which you see there, which is light and fluffy and flavorful. It comes in a traditional one and can be ordered vegan as well. Many of the waffles and the pancakes on Biscuits and Jams menu can be ordered in as a vegan version. And she gets a side of vegan sausages to go with it. And it's really, really good. Monique Williams is the owner there. They have a fun brunch cocktail menu. I'll give you a sneak preview for Easter. They're doing peep-teenies with marshmallow peeps for Easter. But she has a breakfast eggs, like a Benedict that has like a crawfish, shrimp. I don't want to say it's an étouffée, but it's just, the sauce is so good. It's like, I think she calls it her Creole Benedict. That's one of my favorite dishes there. But if you haven't been to Biscuits and Jams and Bartlett, you need to check it out. It opened, I feel like it opened sometime around 2020. It could have opened in 2019, right before the pandemic, but it was sometime around there. So it hasn't been around very long. Next on the list is a Memphis classic, Owen Brennan's. I mean, you can't really talk about brunch in Memphis without Owen Brennan's because they have that huge brunch buffet spread that is over the top, that has, omelets made to order, which you have to give a shout out to Shorty, the omelet maker. His real name is Robert Fisher. So maybe go up to him one day and say, "Hi, Robert," and you'll surprise him because everyone calls him Shorty. But he is just always puts on such a great show when making omelets there, and they're delicious. But they'll have, you can get it with crawfish étouffée on top. There's boiled shrimp. There's sometimes raw oysters. There's, you name it, it's on this brunch buffet, and it's only on Sundays. And that's something to remember. And they no longer take reservations. So it is first come, first serve. So if you're going right after the church rush gets there, you may have to wait a minute. It's totally worth it. Order a cocktail and enjoy yourself outside on the patio while you wait for your table. But I always tell people to either pretty much go early as your best bet, or you can go later. But if you're hitting there around 12:15, just know that you might have a little bit of a wait. Next on the list is something a little different than when people don't necessarily think of pizza for brunch, but Hog and Hominy is one of my favorite places to go. They do have a bunch of brunch items on their menu, but when I go there, I always go for the pizza. And they have two pizzas that are very kind of brunchy. The one you see here is the red eye that has that perfectly poached runny egg that when you cut into it on top. They also have a pizza called the Pruitt that has scrambled eggs on top. I mean, who would have thought? It is actually really, really good. You can start with things like they have sausage balls with Tiny Bomb mustard dipping sauce. And, I always get the crab claws, which come in this like buttery garlic sauce. And here is the insider trick. When you finish the crab claws and they come to clear that plate, you say, "No way, Jose, keep that plate here." And what you do is you save that garlic butter and you dip the crust from their pizzas into the garlic butter. And it is so good. Just trust me.
Wow. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, and fans of Gray Canary will be glad to know that they used to be known at their brunch. This is all owned by the Andrew Michael restaurant group. Gray Canary was known for these kind of like, they had these big punch bowls that they serve for brunch. They have moved that over to Hog and Hominy now. So the punch bowls are still in Memphis. They've just moved from downtown to East Memphis. So if you're going with a group, consider ordering one of their punch bowls. It's kind of a fun thing to do. Now, moving down our list is another Memphis staple, Brother Juniper's over by the University of Memphis. I mean, I don't even know how long, I should have looked up how long that restaurant has been around, but it is a tried and true classic. Always fun. Does not take reservations either. And, but it's a fun, when you're standing there and you're waiting, it's a very casual place, and it's always a good vibe, even if you have to wait 15, 20 minutes for a table. So one of our new photographers, Chris Day, this was his pick, and he says the sausage gravy and biscuits is his favorite thing. He says, that's such a Southern thing, and he says that they do it perfectly. Their biscuits are awesome. So if you want a very casual brunch experience, head over to Brother Juniper's. They're also known for their open face omelets that are so good. They've got pretty much everything breakfast on the menu. So definitely Brother Juniper's. Okay, and then we're going to round out to the last one, which is one I have not been to. But Gina Butkovich, who covers our DeSoto County coverage, she picked a restaurant that was in South Haven. And I have to giggle because I have had a mimosa bong or a mimosa tower. They call them bongs. I've heard them called towers before, as you see in this picture. But the 10th Inning Sports Bar and Grill has that. And I don't know if any place else in Memphis does. One of my daughters went to school in Colorado, and there was a restaurant in Boulder that had these giant mimosa things, and I would take her and maybe 6 or 7 of her friends out, and we would drink those. Her senior year, of course, when she was over 21. But it's kind of a fun, casual thing to do with friends is to go and have a mimosa bong at 10th Inning Sports Bar and Grill. And she says the food is good too. So I'm going to have to add that to my list and probably arrange for a designated driver.
That looks amazing. Wow. You saying 10th inning, you knocked that out of the park there, Jennifer Chandler. Once again.
Well, and I'm going to tell you, one of the reasons I think is spring, and I was thinking, Easter is coming up, and so that kind of got me on the brunch mode. So that's why we and I know there are places that should have been on this list, but we had to limit it to 10, and because otherwise we'd be the entire paper talking about brunch. But check out on Friday my list of places doing Easter brunch specials. We'll publish online at commercialappeal.com. So if you're thinking on the fence of where you want to go for Easter brunch, all of these will be perfect. But I also have a list of places that are doing special menus, or some are doing prefix menus. There are a few restaurants that are not normally open for brunch that will be open for brunch on Easter. So definitely check out that story too if brunch is your favorite thing, and especially for Easter.
And that's what we call in the industry a tease. Jennifer Chandler, we appreciate it so much. Each and every time you come on, that brunch list looks phenomenal. Thanks so much. Again, Commercial Appeal, commercialappeal.com/food. Jennifer, thanks.
Great. Bye.
Hey, good morning. Those pollen levels are off the charts now that we have that warmer weather in place. Everything's starting to grow again. Grass and tree pollen will be the main issues with this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, a 9 out of 10. Only thing that could help us out, there's some rain on Saturday night that hopefully will wash out away some of that pollen and improve conditions for Sunday. Today, though, allergies a problem, but no issues here in the weather otherwise. Sunshine, 74 at noon, 76 at 3 o'clock, upper 70s at 5, and right around 73 by 7 o'clock tonight. First alert feature Futurecast keeping us nice and dry and sunny through the afternoon, as I mentioned, but around midnight tonight, it's cloudy and we may even sneak out a stray shower in areas like Batesville and Oxford, Memphis, even getting in on some of this, as well as areas in eastern portions of Shelby County like Collierville and Arlington, Bartlett, Cordova. Around 9 o'clock in the morning tomorrow is what you're looking at. It will be very light, spotty rain, but still something to keep in mind for the way into work tomorrow. We'll still have a chance for a stray shower in the afternoon. This is 3 o'clock, but most of us stay dry as we get a little later in the day. On Thursday, rain chances at 30% tomorrow, 20% Friday. Can't completely rule out a shower, but we'll probably hold off on rain in most areas until Saturday night. So let's look at First Alert Futurecast for Saturday at noon. We're dry. So the morning, the afternoon, I'm not expecting much, if any, rain. But by 7 o'clock at night, there's those showers starting to creep into eastern Arkansas. Maybe in Millington, seeing a little bit of rain. But if you're in Memphis, you likely won't see any rain until around 8 or 9 o'clock at night. Still raining at midnight, though. And then showers push out of here by the time you get up on Sunday morning. This is 7 a.m. We're done with the rain. Rainfall totals will probably be close to an inch in Brownsville and Dyersburg, about 1/4 to a 1/2 inch from Memphis into Holly Springs and Marks. No severe weather expected with this. There will be some instability, so you'll probably hear some rumbles of thunder. But if you want more details on that rain chance, you can get that on our First Alert weather app. Our First Alert 7-day forecast shows temperatures in the 70s through next week. 77 today, 73 tomorrow. It is a little cooler compared to today just because there'll be more clouds. And again, a few showers possible. 75 on Friday, upper 70s Saturday. With that cold front moving through Saturday night, that will bring our high down to 70 on Sunday, but we're back up to the mid 70s at the start of next week.
All right, well, I want to talk about something pretty interesting. You know, there's a lot of people that are just high performers, high achievers, and they have so many positive traits. I mean, the discipline, the resilience, focus, vision. But sometimes those people that achieve these great things also can kind of get into their head and self-sabotage. And so we want to talk about these things because I think a lot of times the biggest thing is just being aware that you're doing this and then knowing how to respond to that sort of thing. So joining me now to help kind of shed some light on this topic is Sherry Riley. She is a best-selling author and a high-performance life coach. And I know that you work with like the NBA Coaches Association, all kinds of different organizations like that. So you're well-versed on this topic. So let's just kind of talk about just some of the characteristics of those high achievers and then how sometimes they can kind of get in their own way, right?
In this age of, being a high performer, knowing how to go after what you want to achieve, there's also that downside of using too much of that drive. And a lot of times the confidence does not stay in alignment with the drive. So what I always say is we have the drive to succeed. Drive is what pushes us to achieve. Confidence is who we are when we get there.
And I know you have a list of 6 ways that high achievers are their own worst enemy. Can we kind of go through that list and just talk about what some of those are? Because like I was mentioning earlier, just being aware can sometimes help you make a change in maybe some of the things you're doing.
Yes, one of the first ones is we have to stop spending 100% of our time on 10% of who we are. That is what allows many high achievers to accomplish their great goals. And so there's this fallacy that if I just work in this 10%, then everything else through osmosis is going to be great in my life. And so we have to be very intentional that personal development is a key to developing and really emphasizing with the intention that other 90% of who we are. And when we do that, it allows us to be more empowered in our healthy life decisions. Because many times we also get to that place of success and realize we don't even know who we are. One of the other keys is ways that we self-sabotage as high achievers is we lead with this idea that we are entitled to our success because we work so hard versus accountability for the success that we achieve. And what happens with that is we get to this place where our ego minimizes who we hear, who we listen to. And that also stops us from growing so that we become better people, not just better in our profession. One of the other keys that I think is really most critical is we don't take time to self-assess. we begin to believe that all of our external success is the total magnitude of who we are. And again, as I said earlier, our skill and talent will take us to levels of success that our character can't sustain, meaning our decision making, how we self-assess the situation, how we're able to manage opportunities and distractions. And so that's when you see a high performer make a decision that you're looking at them like, how could you destroy all that you've worked for based on this bad decision? And that's because, again, our skill and talent would take us to levels of success that our character can't sustain.
This is super interesting to kind of dive into. You know, for one, like you were mentioning, sometimes being kind of in your own lane and not taking advice from other people, because I know in my career field, a lot of the younger generation that's coming in, they have a lot more information about technology and how they're implementing that in the field. And then, you know, everybody has something to bring to the table. And I think you can kind of take a piece of that, like you said, and help you to grow as well. And it's also one of those things, from what I'm hearing from you, it's just balance, because sometimes you get so hyper focused on this one thing that you, like you said, you lose yourself, and it kind of just creates this ripple effect, right?
Well, you highlighted two things. Two other ways is social, this age of technology and just communicating through technology. And what I say all the time is we don't know how to be social in the age of social media. And so what happens is we spend so much time with technology, with high performers, that we lose how to communicate. And so there's so many ways our lack of social communication because of social media puts us in positions where we're misinterpreted. So that communicating just through technology, we need to really expand and be more intentional about how we engage socially. And then you also touched on another with work-life balance. And what I say is work-life balance is a myth. In my book, Exponential Living, I literally, in the first 68 pages, talk about it being a myth. It's really about that work-life integration. And when we really identify what's most important. And it's really hard when you're a high performer because you've spent so much time developing your skill that we lose sight of really what's most important. And when we stop and self-assess, we start to really speak about our values, which is family, right? Many times our faith. But when we look at where we spend our time is not in alignment with what we say we value. And so as a high performer, we have to really reassess, not work-life balance, but more of that full life integration and answer the question, what is most important? And when we get crystal clear on what's most important, then we make our decisions through that lens. If it's family, then we're able to make decisions where family is first, and then we allow our business and our professional decisions to be amplified through that lens of family first. So where we get out of sync emotionally is we say family is our most important value, but when we look at our time, when we look at our intention, family is usually last on the list. And that's what causes that internal conflict that many high performers are challenged with. And one of the greatest areas of growth for high performers is they've achieved so much externally, but they have this huge void internally. And that's where we began to experience that depression or really feeling out of sync and not performing at our highest level because we have that void and we think that more work will fill it, when the truth of the matter is it really is about making what's most important most important.
That's a good point, too, because a lot of times people, especially with the social media world these days, and you see these people achieving all these things, they post it, and then, like you said, they're doing all of these things, but at the same time, a lot of times there's that void. And, I know you're a high performance life coach. Is this something you run into a lot? What is the biggest thing that people come to you saying that stands out?
Oh, my goodness. Yes, because they create a persona for social media. And then many times it's not in alignment with who they are and what they value in their own personal life. And so they get lost in, how do I continue to be this high performer or position myself in a way that isn't in alignment with really who I am? And so what I really work with on my clients is, how do we change the conversation in our own heads? That's one of the first places we have to start, because many times what we're pursuing is peace. And we think that external success, financial stability, a fabulous relationship or family is going to give us that peace. And one of the greatest challenges for a high performer is to reach all the levels of success they've worked so hard to get to and realize that they're miserable. And so we have to really stop and really evaluate what's most important. And the most important thing is their inner peace. And when we get to that place of recognizing that money will never give you peace, accolades and success will never give you peace, we have to pursue the peace first. And then that empowers us to really fully enjoy the experiences of our success. And that's really where I start with my high performers, is really with that conversation in their own head, so that they can begin to really self-assess what's most important, and then make sure that they do the personal development work so that who they are professionally and who they desire to be personally absolutely align with each other.
And I think it's so important to self-assess, because a lot of times you have a hard time even putting into words how you feel, why you feel, how you fix it, and that sort of thing. So sometimes taking that step back and almost kind of taking a step back, stopping, smelling the roses, where you realize, okay, this is where I need to start making changes, and this is, what's causing this problem. Is that something that you agree with? Absolutely.
Gratitude heals so much of our angst, so much of our anxiety, and so much of our fears. It's just gratitude. And with a lot of my clients, they've worked so hard to achieve their success that they've never just stopped and enjoyed where they were. And one of the areas of growth that we really focus on is never allow what you want to achieve to rob you of what you've already accomplished. Never allow what you want to achieve to rob you of the joy of what you've already accomplished. And so many times it's just allowing them a safe place to stop and enjoy the success that they've achieved while still being hungry and driven for that next level of success. And that all starts with that gratitude and really being able to appreciate what they've accomplished. Because many times the challenge is, if I stop and enjoy where I am, then I'll lose that fire. I'll lose that drive. I'll lose that passion that pushed me to get to this level of success. And what I always help them understand is, no, gratitude allows you to reboot. Right? All of our technology, our computers, our phones, our iPads, in order for them to be their most productive, they have to stop. They have to reboot. And that's what I help them understand, is that gratitude is just that reboot that allows you to reignite that passion, but in a more healthy way.
I think so many people can relate to this. And I think one of the biggest things that I struggle with, that I've tried to make a point of doing more, is just being fully present in what I'm experiencing. Because sometimes you get so caught up in life that you're not even fully present or fully appreciating some of those moments. Is that, do you kind of understand what I'm saying with that?
That is one of the greatest challenges, is this myth about multitasking, is that we have to be, and it's hard because when you are a high performer, and you can definitely relate to this, is you're always, pressed and stressed and concerned about what's next, or you're evaluating what did I do wrong and how do I do better from what happened in the past, where our most powerful place is in the present. And what I help my clients with is that whether you're at work or at home, your presence is not enough. You have to be present. And many times we think our presence is enough. Well, I'm here, but I'm on my phone. I'm thinking about this. I'm more concerned with that. I'm trying to, be on social media to do this. and we're missing what's right in front of us. And that's where the anxiety amplifies, is because we're not present. And so the essence of exponential living is pursuing peace, choosing clarity, and living courageously. Because when we commit to being present, that's where that inner peace is our power. And when we commit to that peace, that's when we get clarity. A lot of times with high performers, because we have so many responsibilities, we're just not clear. And so we've got to focus on our peace, which gives us clarity. And then when you bring that peace and that clarity together, that's when you have the courage to do that inner work. That's when you have the courage to stop spending 100% of your time on 10% of who you are, the courage to self-assess, the courage to understand communication outside of technology, the courage to understand that you've got to lead through accountability and not entitlement. And so when we get to that place of peace and clarity, that's when we have the courage to make sure that these 6 ways that high performers can self-sabotage, we eliminate those and be more productive in every area of our life. And that's really the goal, is to be the best you, not just the best career you or sports you or athlete you, but to be the best you in every area of your life.
Sherry, this has been a great conversation. I think it's helpful to so many people, myself included. Is there anything else you want to make sure to hit home about before we let you go?
Well, I would definitely say these 6 ways of self-sabotaging, I really spend more time and give more insight in my book, Exponential Living, Stop Spending 100% of Your Time on 10% of Who You Are, where I share the 9 principles that really serve as the how. How do we really show up and really be intentional about eliminating all those areas of self-sabotage so that we can really experience exponential living?
Sherry Riley, author and high performance life coach. I've really appreciated having you on here today, and you have a good one, all right?
Thank you. You too.
All right, so we all know about ChatGPT. We've heard about it. It's been in the headlines now for weeks, if not months. It's essentially an artificial intelligence program that allows people to write all kinds of essays and documents and various structures. And for students across the country, they're using ChatGPT and other technology to cheat on their homework assignments, their essays, that sort of thing. And professors and teachers are having a really difficult time distinguishing ChatGPT writings versus the actual students' writings. Well, there is now a tech company that has designed a program, it says, that will make it harder for students to cheat and allow parents and teachers to detect if students are using programs like ChatGPT. It's fascinating, right? Because we've heard so much about it, but now there might be a program here to combat against it. That's why we have brought in Annie Ciccitelli, Chief Product Officer with Turnitin. Annie, I hope I said your name right. How are you this morning?
I'm good. How are you doing, Andrew?
Doing well. So tell me about, first off, let's explain to everyone, if maybe they've heard about ChatGPT, they don't know how it works. Let's explain how it works for our audience.
Sure. So ChatGPT and other text generators are large language learning models. They are very predictive. So they write based on the next word. So they take the prompt that was written as well as everything they wrote before to predict the next most probable word in that sentence. And thus that's how they write. They're not writing for meaning. They're not writing to create a story. It's a very different way of writing than humans do. And so it leaves this trace or a statistical trace that we're able to detect because of the way that it chooses the next most probable word.
I was talking to someone last fall, someone who works for the SAT, ACT board, and they told me that ChatGPT is extremely challenging for them because it's hard for them to determine essays, and schools and universities a lot of times require essays for students and base that on possible enrollment. And so they were really kind of wringing their hands, wondering how they would be able to detect ChatGPT versus a student's actual writing. But I understand your tech company has developed a program to detect it. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, Yeah, and so we Turnitin is a company for the past 25 years focused on academic integrity, and this is just an extension of our core business, which was started out as similarity detection. So looking to see if something a student submitted is similar to something on the internet or perhaps another paper. And so this is just an extension. It uses different technology, though, than obviously our similarity detection, in which we're able to, because we have been working with student writing for over 20 years, we understand even different grade levels of how students write. We're able to create a model that compares that to ChatGPT writing or any other program that uses GPT-3 or 3.5 to determine if there are the differences, and we're able to see the statistical significance that the students submitted of the different words to determine if there are traces of AI writing.
So give me an example of how it would work. So if let's say a student submits an essay, for example, would they then put the essay into this program by Turnitin, and then Turnitin would say, okay, you know, based upon what we're seeing, this is ChatGPT, you know, a percentage of, you know, tell me how it would work.
Yeah, sure. So the good news is that we already have an established workflow that students are used to because of our similarity detection. So students already have a path for submitting their assignments to Turnitin, and teachers already have an interface by which they're comfortable working. And we show them today, for the similarity, we show them a copy of their submission and highlight places where there is similarity to other documents. So that already exists. And so what we've added to that interface is a button, so kind of like a flag that says AI rating, and it gives a percentage, and it's a percentage of the document. But we encourage all teachers to learn more. Don't just take what it's, you know, just across all our tools, right? Don't just take what the percentage is, you know, make sure that we want the teacher to click into that to see line by line where we think ChatGPT or another tool was used to create the paper. And then that gives the teacher the ability to have those conversations with the student. We believe that it shouldn't just be taken as a detection of cheating, right? We think that the teacher is going to make that determination based on what they find and what evidence we provide them.
Sorry about that, Annie. I'm having some issues with my mic. Is there anything that says there is a success rate when it comes to this program from Turnitin? You know, is it 80%, 90% effective in catching ChatGPT?
Yeah, it's a great question. And so we have tuned the model in a specific way to err on the side of safety. And what we mean by that is that we only indicate to teachers that we suspect AI writing when we're 98% sure. And so we turned that dial up. But at the same time, we want to make sure we're reducing false positives as much as possible. And so in order to balance that, in our lab tests, we predict that we probably miss about 15% of AI writing so as to keep that false positive rate quite low. And so we think we catch up to 85% with 98% confidence, but with a less than 1% false positive rate.
Wow, it's so interesting to hear about this. First with ChatGPT and other artificial intelligence programs, and then your program that catches ChatGPT writing, that sort of thing. It's wild. Where can people go, perhaps parents, teachers, for more information on your new program?
Yeah, so teachers who use Turnitin can learn more within the interface that they're already using. There are a whole bunch of tools and best practices and FAQs to help teachers educate themselves and learn more, not just about our program, but about the use of these tools in general. And then parents and other people can go to Turnitin.com on our website, and you can learn more about our AI writing there.
All right, Annie Cecchitelli, Chief Product Officer with Turnitin. We appreciate your time this morning. A fascinating development with regards to ChatGPT and other artificial intelligence programs. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you, Andrew.
Hey, good morning. Those pollen levels are off the charts now that we have that warmer weather in place. Everything's starting to grow again. Grass and tree pollen will be the main issues with this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, a 9 out of 10. Only thing that could help us out, there's some rain on Saturday night that hopefully will wash out away some of that pollen and improve conditions for Sunday. Today, though, allergies a problem, but no issues here in the weather otherwise. Sunshine, 74 at noon, 76 at 3 o'clock, upper 70s at 5, and right around 73 by 7 o'clock tonight. First alert feature cast keeping us nice and dry and sunny through the afternoon, as I mentioned, but around midnight tonight, it's cloudy, and we may even sneak out a stray shower in areas like Batesville and Oxford, Memphis, even getting in on some of this, as well as areas in eastern portions of Shelby County like Collierville and Arlington, Bartlett, Cordova. Around 9 o'clock in the morning tomorrow is what you're looking at. This will be very light, spotty rain, but still something to keep in mind for the way into work tomorrow. We'll still have a chance for a stray shower in the afternoon. This is 3 o'clock, but most of us stay dry as we get a little later in the day. On Thursday, rain chances at 30% tomorrow, 20% Friday. Can't completely rule out a shower, but we'll probably hold off on rain in most areas until Saturday night. So let's look at first alert featurecast for Saturday at noon. We're dry. So the morning, the afternoon, I'm not expecting much, if any, rain. But by 7 o'clock at night, there's those showers starting to creep into eastern Arkansas. Maybe in Millington, seeing a little bit of rain. But if you're in Memphis, you likely won't see any rain until around 8 or 9 o'clock at night. Still raining at midnight, though. And then showers push out of here by the time you get up on Sunday morning. This is 7 a.m. We're done with the rain. Rainfall totals will probably be close to an inch in Brownsville and Dyersburg, about a quarter to a half inch from Memphis into Holly Springs and Marks. No severe weather expected with this. There will be some instability, so you'll probably hear some rumbles of thunder. But if you want more details on that rain chance, you can get that on our First Alert weather app. Our First Alert 7-day forecast shows temperatures in the 70s through next week. 77 today, 73 tomorrow. It is a little cooler compared to today just because there'll be more clouds. And again, a few showers possible. 75 on Friday, upper 70s Saturday. With that cold front moving through Saturday night, that will bring our high down to 70 on Sunday, but we're back up to the mid 70s at the start of next week.
All right, who's been a fan of the weather we've had for the last 3 days? I mean, has it been amazing or what? And when you have weather like this after the winter and after the last few weeks where we've had these deadly storms, the tornadoes that have ravaged some of the areas, when you have this amazing weather, you want to be outside all the time. And then you think to yourself, if you're like me, I need to go to a festival. I need to see what's happening outside. I want to do all these things outside in Memphis and the Mid-South. That's why we're bringing in Jennifer Chandler, because she is thinking just like we are about all these festivals, drink festivals, food festivals, wine and dine festivals. Jennifer, always great to have you on. What's happening with the festivals?
It's good to be here. And yes, we have some fun stuff coming up for the month of April. There's so many cool things that happen in the city that I decided last year I write a story or kind of a calendar story every month that lists all the cool wine dinners and festivals and really cool kind of out of the box food events that are happening here in Memphis. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, is some of the ones in April. And I'm going to skip ahead. There is one on this Thursday that I wanted to talk about, but I'm going to skip ahead when we were talking about the weather, because this weekend there is so much fun stuff going on all around town that you can get out, you can enjoy this beautiful weather and have some good food and some good beer. So the first one I want to talk about is this Saturday, April 15th, is Wiseacre's Taste the Rarity, beer festival that they do. And it is a curated festival where they invite all of their craft brewery friends from around the region to come in and do their weirdest beers that they make. So if you are a beer lover, this event is definitely one you need to be. And it's kind of fun because they hold it at their original brewery over on Broad, and it's called Wiseacre OG, and as an original. And it's just a really cool, fun event for beer lovers. And they've been doing it for several years. I should know, I can't remember how many years they've been doing this, but this is kind of one of those things that, and it does sell out. So if you think you're interested in going, you need to probably hop online today, head over to Wiseacre's website and get yourself a ticket. Also this weekend is the Ragin' Cajun Crawfish Festival. And this thing is on Sunday, April 16th, and it's in its 30th year, and it is crazy. They usually cook 15,000 pounds of crawfish. Isn't that crazy? That's a heck of a lot of crawfish, I think.
Love it. I love it.
It's an event that, and what's really cool about this event is it supports Porter Lee, which is a nonprofit that provides social services for at-risk children and families in Memphis. And this is their kind of one of their big fundraisers that they do every year. It's free to attend the event. However, how they do the fundraising is they sell the crawfish, and a bucket is usually about $30. It depends on market price every year, and it's a 3-pound bucket, so that will definitely feed you and a friend, and if you're me, maybe just me for 3 pounds. I love crawfish. So those are two things to definitely head outdoors this weekend for. I also wanted to mention some of the cool kind of wine dinner, food dinner events that are happening around town. So this Thursday, April 13th, Mosh, which I still call the Pink Palace, has a really cool event that they're calling Unlock the Vault. And what they're going to do is they're going to go and find their artifacts and the treasures that they have in their History and Science Museum vaults, and they're going to bring them out. Like when you walk in the front door, I think you're going to be given white gloves and a cocktail, and you'll get to go back in the vaults and see some of these rare things that are still, you know, no longer on display to the public, but they're true gems of history of Memphis and the region. And Jimmy Gentry, who is the chef and owner of Paradox Catering and the lobbyist at the Chisca restaurant in downtown Memphis, will be doing the food for that event, and he always does an excellent job. And so it will be a kind of fun thing to do that's different, and you'll get to have some great eats. So that's a cool thing. Another thing going on is Salt and Soy chef Brad McClarley has started a Sunday supper pop-up, and he does them periodically, and he had his first one last month, and I went, and this picture is from the first one. He did it with Chef Lee Mitchell, and they had a whole theme of upscale trailer park food. And it was, I have to tell you, so much fun, and the food was really creative. He did Prano pups with kind of like, you know, they have a sushi kind of a Japanese spin there. And so he made these Prano pups with sushi rice that were really good. He had chicken rotel empanadas. So it was kind of a fun, different thing. So on Sunday, April 16th, he is doing it again. Brittany Brown will be the chef that he is partnering with. That's actually his sous chef there. So I don't know what the theme is going to be. But what's nice is you can make a reservation. You don't have to prepay ahead of time. You can just walk in as well. It's kind of from 6 to 8. I would go on the earlier side because we went at like 6:30, and there was 1 or 2 dishes that by the time we got around to ordering it, they were sold out. But it's just kind of a fun, different thing to do on a Sunday night. I also want to mention Vintage 901 when we're talking about food and wine events. So Vintage 901 is April 22nd through 23rd, and it is going to be back in its full glory this year. The past couple of years, it's kind of had abbreviated versions because of all of the pandemic things going on, but it is a wine and food festival that really celebrates community. It's just, It's really, really neat. It's going to be this year. It's going to be at Aero Creative, which is in Midtown. The grand tasting will be that Saturday afternoon and early evening, and you go around, and there's going to be multiple wineries there that you can taste. There's going to be lots of great food. Lori Forrester, who is a wine sommelier and expert, she's called the Wine Coaches Our Business, and she's going to be back this year, and she's going to be teaching classes during the grand wine tasting, and then the next day on Sunday morning they have a sparkling brunch that is all about sparkling wines, and it's held at the FedEx Event Center in Shelby Farms Park. And if you haven't been to that venue, it's really cool because it's all glass and it's all overlooking that beautiful Hyde Lake at Shelby Farms, so you can enjoy brunch and learn all about sparkling wines while you enjoy it with some good friends. So Vintage 901 is really kind of a special event. I think this will be the 7th year to happen here in Memphis. And every time I've gone, I've always had a great time. And then one more thing I'm going to mention too that is not just a wine dinner or a festival is cooking classes. Barbecue grilling season is coming up, and Memphis's own Melissa Cookston, who is known as the winningest woman in competition barbecue. She owns Memphis Barbecue Company down in DeSoto County, and she wins many things every year on the competition barbecue circuit. And she has a shop called Barbecue All Stars that she opened, and it's in South Haven. And she's going to be teaching 2 hands-on classes. One is April 15th and one is April 29th. And one is called Beefapalooza, which is about all things beef. And the other one is called Porkapalooza, which is about all things pork. And so it will be kind of a day-long hands-on cooking class where you can really learn from an expert on how to manage your grill. And this is just a taste of all the cool things going on this month in Memphis. I have more listed at commercialappeal.com/food in my story that says my column is called Wine and Dine. Look for the one for April, and you can look at all of these events and just know that this story, I publish it on the 1st of every month, so you can see what's going on and check out some of these, cool things. Obviously we have such great restaurants here in Memphis, but there are also all these people doing things outside of the box than a traditional restaurant or a traditional menu that are worth checking out.
Yes, the creativity that we see in Memphis, it's really like no other. We have great food, we have great restaurants, we have people that really kind of do things in a creative style, and it really allows some of the visitors and guests to kind of get involved. I love it. I love it.
Yep. So, Get out there, enjoy the good food and the good weather that we're finally having, and have fun.
Exactly. Jennifer, thank you. Jennifer Chandler, the food reporter, the best one in the Mid-South at commercialappeal.com/food. As always, Jennifer, we really appreciate everything that you do and coming on the digital desk. Thanks very much.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, now let's switch gears here because we know that the Shelby County Commission is going to decide the fate on whether to reappoint former Memphis State Representative Justin J. Pearson. We have Action News 5's Sydney Gray down at the Civil Rights Museum where there is an expected rally to take place later today. She is live with us on the digital desk. Sydney, what's going on? What's the latest? Sydney, I don't hear you for whatever reason. I don't know if there's a mic issue, but I don't hear you. So why don't we come back to you in just a minute here, and maybe we can figure out the mic issue right now. But as I was mentioning, we're hours away from a meeting with the Shelby County Commission with regards to whether or not Memphis State Representative, former State Representative Justin J. Pearson will return to his old seat. Now, it comes as Pearson and another House member was expelled for knowingly breaking House rules, disrupting business for more than an hour on the House floor, and protesting for more gun control with a bullhorn. So later this morning, the Shelby County Commission will vote to perhaps reinstate him to his position. But first, a rally is expected to take place. And so I think we have the audio issue cleared with Sydney Gray, who's live again at the Civil Rights Museum. Go ahead, Sydney.
Hey, Andrew, so sorry about that, but we're all clear here. So as you mentioned, we are at the National Civil Rights Museum, and just behind me, folks are already kind of making their way here. A lot of these people are here for tours, of course, but in about an hour, maybe a couple hours or so, we're expecting to see a lot more people here for the rally today, all in support of the former Representative Justin J. Pearson for District 86. As we know, that covers portions of Memphis and many of the surrounding areas. And just another note on Justin J. Pearson, he was elected to that seat back in January. He filled the position of the late Barbara Cooper, who had that position for many, many years. And so a lot of people are going to be coming here to the National Civil Rights Museum, planning for that rally at noon, and then they are expected to then march from here to the County Commission's office downtown for that meeting that is set for 1:30 this afternoon.
Okay, so Sydney, I got a question for you. So I saw something in email. You know, we get a lot of emails here at Action News 5 that said that they're holding a special meeting just for this very issue. Does that change anything?
So that meeting is going to be, they'll discuss all of those details later today for that at that 1:30 discussion. So not much that we have been reporting today has changed. We just know that that discussion is going to happen at 1:30 today, where they will decide, you know, whether or not they will vote to reappoint Justin J. Pearson to the position in the House.
Okay, and the rally that's set there at the National Civil Rights Museum, this is supporters of Justin J. Pearson doing this to essentially say to the commission, hey, we want him back in his old seat, right?
Yes, exactly, Andrew. And one thing I also wanted to point out, you know, I don't think it's a mistake that this rally is being held here at the National Civil Rights Museum. I mean, obviously, this is a historic place here in Memphis. Lots of historical things have happened here. We all know about what happened just here at the Lorraine Motel. So obviously, lots of discussions will be happening here today, and many people are going to be honestly just showing their support. But it's really going to come down to that vote that happens this afternoon at the Shelby County Commission.
Okay, has there been any discussion with Justin J. Pearson? I know it's hard to because I know you were there all morning long, but do we know about any discussions with Justin and maybe some of his Democratic colleagues in the House? You know, last week we followed very closely everything that happened with regards to GOP House lawmakers deciding to expel the two, Justin Jones and Justin Pearson. Has there been any discussions that you know of since Justin Jones of Nashville was reappointed?
Obviously, those conversations are ongoing. Lots of lawmakers, Democratic lawmakers, have voiced their support for Justin Jones and Justin Pearson, obviously here in Memphis. So those conversations have not stopped since everything happened just last week. And then we know that when Justin Jones was, he got his position back, obviously the conversation then Memphis became the focus yet again to see if Pearson would get his seat back. So those conversations have not stopped here. We know that lots of people are going to be sharing their voices and expressing their concerns about what happened at the House, and really just showing their support for Pearson up until this afternoon.
Okay, Sydney Gray, we really appreciate you breaking down this topic, this issue, giving us an update on what is expected to happen there at the Civil Rights Museum and, of course, inside the chambers at the Shelby County Commission. We appreciate your work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Andrew Douglas in the Action News 5 digital desk. April 18th, that is the tax deadline this year. Many people have already filed their taxes. There's always some last-minute procrastinators trying to get every bit of information into the IRS before the deadline expires. Let's talk about the guy in the know when it comes to taxes. He is Chief Tax Officer from Jackson Hewitt, Mark Stieber, joining us on the digital desk once again. Mark, it's always good to talk taxes with you. Let's talk about this deadline this year. What are the biggest mistakes people are making when filing taxes this year?
Well, it's a great question. And as you mentioned, millions have already filed. As of about a week ago, 90 million have filed, but that leaves about 70 million to go. And so the biggest mistake that I see every year is waiting to the last minute and then getting in a rush, then finding out from your tax pro that you need a little more information for that home office or that cryptocurrency or that side gig. And then you really rush and you leave off a benefit that really should be yours just out of the hurry of getting it done. So time is of the essence, as there are a few more days left, but you don't want to wait till the last minute, even though as we're here in the last week or so to go.
We've talked before several times about this year's deadline. Can you go over some of the main differences that people are going to expect this year?
Yeah, this year's a much different year than last year. You can't really just take last year's tax return, do your smartphone, and cookie cut. There'll be changes to the tax law. A lot of the pandemic changes that were put into place, child credit, dependent care credit, the ability to take a charitable donation without itemizing earned income credit for singles, those all reverted back to pre-pandemic amounts like it was before time. So if you're using last year's as a gauge, that won't really work. Life changes are bigger perhaps than even tax changes. People for 2022 still getting married, still having children, still getting divorced, still working in different locations because of the pandemic. And then as a third thing to watch out for, the pandemic is still with us, at least from a work perspective. People are working out of their homes. People are working on side gigs. They're doing other activities that have a big compounded tax effect. So watch for tax changes, life changes, and then some of those residual pandemic changes as you're doing your tax returns. Any one of those elements can give you a new item, new deduction, or new credit.
You mentioned 90 million people have already filed. Are you seeing less refunds for those who expect to get it?
Yeah, there's good news and bad news. For 2022, we are seeing a pretty big decline in refund size, about 10%. Last year, about this time, refunds were averaging about $3,300 for federal. Now they're a little bit under $2,900, but that was to be expected. Those refunds last year were largely increased because of some of those pandemic changes that I mentioned. So we're really kind of going back to 2021 norms, which are smaller than last year, but still pretty healthy. The good news for taxpayers, we're still seeing about 3 out of 4 people getting a refund, both at Jackson Hewitt and nationally. So people are still getting refunds, albeit a little smaller than last year, but still pretty healthy. We are also seeing a new trend, a lot more people with a balance due. So smaller refunds on one side, but some people, because of changes in the W-4, a lot of changes to people being self-employed and making estimates, they're having a balance due surprise. So if you haven't given some attention to your taxes with a year-end estimate or a mid-year estimate, you probably need to get after it, because you don't want to have a balance due surprise when you're sitting at the tax desk in another week or so.
Yeah, we got 8 days until the tax deadline, so all those procrastinators are still out there. Any last-minute advice, Mark, that we can give other than hurry up and get your taxes done for the deadline?
Yeah, it's similar. It's a cousin of the do not panic. It's simply that there's a lot of people out there with extra hours, extra staff. The tax pro community really lives for this time of year. So if you don't want to do it yourself, and that's a certainly fine option, you certainly can reach out and find someone. Go to a website of your favorite tax pro, set up an appointment. There's a lot of help out there, and we really live for this kind of activity. So you don't need to go it alone, and you certainly don't need to panic, and you certainly have the ability to extend even if you can't meet the deadline. At one point, for your viewers, an extension is really only a time to extend the filing of the paperwork, not to pay some monies that you owe. If you owe, you still got to do that by midnight on the 18th, or you risk penalties and interest for late payment and underpayment. So get some help. There's a ton of it out there, online and otherwise. You can get someone to help you get your taxes done.
Okay, that's good advice on the deadlines. One other thing, we talk about a number of different things here for the tax deadline to be ready for. Where can people get some great tax advice? No spin or frills.
Yeah, you can always go to the Jackson Hewitt website for videos, questions, checklists, but I also like the IRS.gov website. It's a little more tax geek speak. You really kind of have to understand what you're reading. But your favorite tax pro, whether it's Jackson Hewitt or otherwise, most of us today have a website with tools, with calculators, with some videos, with checklists, with small articles on topics of your choice. And you really do need to arm yourself with that information. If you're listening to the tax pro Uncle Bob in your family, and he's got the internet, maybe or maybe not trained, that's probably not a best practice. But there's about 700,000 of us out there. You should be able to get a resource, someone that meets your needs, that you're liking, that's convenient with some transparent pricing, that's in your area. And if you don't have that today, look around. There's probably someone closer to you than you know. And whether you do it yourself or you want to hire a pro, you should have a tax professional in your contact list that you can debunk a myth or ask a quick question of, or even get a free review this summer of what you did yourself, and see if maybe you left some money on the table.
Always great advice from Mark Stever, Chief Tax Officer with Jackson Hewitt. We appreciate you joining us, as always, on the Digital Desk.
Hey, good morning. Those pollen levels are off the charts now that we have that warmer weather in place. Everything's starting to grow again. Grass and tree.
The Mid-South Transplant Foundation is encouraging every community to celebrate Blue and Green Day in the Mid-South, organ and tissue donation. Check out that flyer there. April 14th, 2023. That's next Friday. You can shine the light on organ and tissue donation. In fact, that day is a very significant day. Let's bring in Zola Burgess, Community Outreach Coordinator with Mid-South Transplant Foundation, to talk more about April, the month, and what April 14th means for organ donation and tissue donation. Good morning, Zola. Tell us about April 14th and that month of April when it comes to the Mid-South Transplant Foundation.
April the 14th is such an amazing day. What that says for us is that we want all of the citizens of Memphis and the surrounding areas to raise awareness for organ and tissue donation. We would like for you, if you have a business, light up your business. Then we say that we want you to turn your home on the outside, turn that into blue or green. So it raises awareness for the people that are in organ and tissue failure here in the Mid-South. Currently, we have over 4,000 people on the waiting list, waiting on vital organs.
Yeah, I was going to say the numbers are pretty dramatic, that people are waiting for those life-saving organs, and there's 4,000 right now. Tell us what the Mid-South Transplant Foundation does to help those thousands of people waiting for that life-saving organ.
What Mid-South Transplant does, we work quite a bit with the Department of Safety. So when you get your license or if you get it renewed, you can register to be an organ and tissue donor. And this occurs after this life that we have is over. You can donate your organs to those that are in need. And we work along with the county clerks. So when the clerks and the desk asks, you want to donate $1 to the organ donor fund, please say yes. This helps us to spread awareness. We work along with the churches, universities, high schools, businesses. We work with the county commission. We work all over to spread awareness. We have hospitals. We service every hospital in our area, which is East Arkansas, West Tennessee, and North Mississippi. So we get in there and we collaborate with the nurses and everybody to make sure that we get the word out and everything that is being done to save a life.
So I know that there's all kinds of ideas online about ways to bring awareness to transplant, organ and tissue donation and transplant. What are some ways that maybe people can show awareness on April 14th, next Friday?
On April the 14th, what they can do is they can wear a blue or either green. So, and just highlight that. And also what they can do is turn the lights on. Turn the lights on, and that will represent us. We're going to light up the bridges. If you want to support it, you can go out there and see those beautiful lights that comes on. We have a lot going on at the hospitals. Right now, Methodist University, they have their lights on blue and green. The airport, they have theirs on blue and green. And last year we had the Civil Rights Museum. So we're looking for that again so that everybody can recognize that day. And if you want, we're going to have several festivities going on at the hospitals. We're having flag raisings. So when you see the Donate Life flag raised at a hospital, then that's what it's all about, raising awareness and shining the light.
Okay, Zola Burgess, Community Outreach Coordinator for Mid-South Transplant Foundation. We appreciate your time and best of luck all month long as we bring awareness to organ and tissue donation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. But what we do, if a person wants a yard sign, for the complete month of April, we are highlighting Donate Life Month. If you want a yard sign, you can reach out to us. You can go to midsouth.transplant.org and order a yard sign. You can order table tents, posters, different things that you can just show your support for those that are in need.
Okay, all right. Zola Burgess, again, appreciate your time and enjoy the rest of the month.
All righty. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, Andrew Douglas back here in the Action News 5 digital desk. So over the course of the last 2-3 weeks, we have had deadly storms, tornadoes that have ravaged our area here in the Mid-South, in Arkansas, in North Mississippi, and in West Tennessee. So there's so many different questions that some of these storms victims have in terms of, how do we apply for assistance? Where do we go to get it? Who do we need to talk to? Well, right now I have someone in the know when it comes to that. I have Daryl Habish, a FEMA Public Information Officer assigned to West Tennessee, to talk more about what some of those victims can deal with when it comes to FEMA assistance. Daryl, I appreciate you joining us on the digital desk. Tell us what people can know, first and foremost, if they've had damage, if they're dealing with either being in a shelter right now or they've had their home damaged or destroyed. What do they need to do to get FEMA assistance?
Well, thank you so much for having us on today and getting this important information out to survivors of that March 31st, April 1st tornadoes and storms. The very first thing you need to do is make your insurance claim. And I say that because we're not allowed by law to duplicate any type of insurance payments. We can go above and beyond that, but we can't duplicate it. So make your insurance claim. Right after that, call FEMA. You can get in touch with us at 800-621-3362. That's 800-621-3362. You can also apply online at disasterassistance.gov. You can download the FEMA app to whichever, whether it's Apple or Google, so forth, the FEMA app. And that way you can be in constant communication with us. When you do apply, we'll need some very simple things like your insurance information. If you had insurance, we'll also need where the primary residence was that was affected by the storms. We'll also need, how do we contact you today? Where are you at? You may not be, obviously, in your previous home or the damaged property. So where are you at today? You might be in Mississippi, you might be in Arkansas, you could be in Nashville, but how do we get in touch with you? And we may ask, if you choose to have your money or grant money deposited, direct deposit to your bank account, we'll ask for that information too. What's your account number? What's your routing number? How do we, and also, what is your Social Security number? You're going to need one Social Security number within the household. Now, that might be a minor child. So we don't ask, it's not our business what your legal status is, anything at all. What we need to know is there a person within your household that has a Social Security number? Now, if there isn't, we can point you in the direction of so many volunteer agencies, faith-based organizations that can provide assistance. The important thing to remember here is that this is really a whole community effort. FEMA can't do it alone. So we do have volunteer agencies. We have the Red Cross out there helping folks right now. We're following the lead of the state who are helping folks everywhere.
Yeah. Daryl, let me jump in here and ask you a couple things. And first, I want you to know that we have thousands of people watching us on our Digital Desk stream right now. And it's very simple for those people out there that are listening. If you have a family member or a friend that has had significant damage in West Tennessee from these storms, please, the first thing, as Daryl mentioned, the first thing you need to do is you make that insurance claim and then you contact FEMA either on the phone or online or through the FEMA app. So that is it right there. That's what you need to do. Now, Daryl, I understand that you are in the Memphis area right now. Have you been out to some of the sites? Tell me what you've seen from your perspective. Where have you been?
You know, I am headed up to Tipton County today. I've seen the photos. I've seen everything that's been documented by the state, and I can tell you it looks horrible. It's devastating to people. We want to help folks stay in their communities, and part of that is through rental assistance or temporary housing assistance. If you need a place to live, let us know right now. Everybody deserves a safe, secure environment. You deserve a safe roof over your head. So let us know. We can help you with lodging expenses in hotels. We can help you with long-term, well, not long-term, but with rental assistance for apartments, including a security deposit. If you need things like tools for your job, we can help you with that, but we can't if we don't know you're there. You have to let us know.
Absolutely. I mean, that is such an important point. Now, McNairy County, Tennessee, the Adamsville area had significant damage as well. I'm sure you're well aware. 17 people died in those storms in that area. Have you had an opportunity to go out there, or is that on the agenda? Tell me what.
Well, we have FEMA folks in all of the counties right now. We also have teams that are out that are called disaster survivor assistance teams. And they want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to apply for assistance. So these teams are going door to door in these counties. Now, their areas where they're located will change daily because they're going through neighborhoods, but they will show up. They will have FEMA gear on. They will have an official laminated federal ID with their photo on it, and they will register you right then and there on their iPads to help everybody. So if you're homebound, if you know of people that are homebound, let's say, or grandma and grandpa or your neighbors, let them know. And let us know that they're out there. Let your local emergency managers know, your police, and so forth. We have to look out for each other in all of these situations. We do have people that are canvassing these counties, so don't be surprised. If they come up to you and say, hi, I'm from FEMA, and for $500, I can get you registered and we'll get you through the process, they're not from FEMA. We will never ask for money. Be careful out there. The fraudsters, the lowest of the low, are out there right now. And they will try to impersonate FEMA to get your money.
Yeah, that's a great point, because we've done several stories already, Daryl, of scammers out there that are trying to scam people saying that they're from FEMA or some other emergency assistance organization. Is the staff wearing badges so that people can clearly see that they are FEMA representatives? Is there a way that people can say, okay, you're from FEMA because I see your badge?
Yes, they will be wearing badges. And the folks that are going door to door will wear FEMA equipment and FEMA gear. So whether it's a shirt that says FEMA, they may have a vest, a reflective vest that says FEMA. But the most important thing is the badge. And as time goes on, you may receive a call from FEMA wanting to schedule a home inspection. The inspectors who come out will not be in FEMA gear, but they will have a laminated federal ID. And I always tell people, this sounds kind of funny, but you know what? If somebody approaches your door, whether they claim to be an inspector or they're FEMA folks that want to help you register, take a photo of them. Everybody's phone has a camera. It's okay. We don't mind. Take a photo, say, oh, well, I feel better now. If you're not comfortable with it, that's okay. Say, I'm not comfortable, and we'll depart. So if you're a scammer, you don't want your photo taken. If you're FEMA, it's okay.
Yep, that's a great point, Daryl. And I just want to, again, let everybody know who's watching us right now that you have to make your insurance claim, then contact FEMA. You have to go in that order. Then FEMA can help. You can call FEMA, 1-800-621-3362. You can go to disasterassistance.gov or download the FEMA app and get assistance there. Again, Daryl, assigned to Tennessee, West Tennessee, of course, we all know, had so much damage from those storms back on March 31st. And also, if you see someone out there with the FEMA badge, then you know they are a FEMA representative. Otherwise, not so much and not at all. Anything else, Daryl, that we can mention to our viewers with regards to your presence out here, what you and the organization's doing to help some of the victims? Anything else that we can mention before we let you go?
Well, remember that we're not an insurance company. We can't rebuild your home, but we can help you with possibly major repairs. If your home just needs certain things repaired to make it habitable, we may be able to help you with that. There's a lot of assistance out there, not just from FEMA, but also the Small Business Administration. They're on their way, and I know they're here already, but because it's a declared disaster, they can offer low interest, long-term loans to homeowners and renters. If you're a renter that was affected, apply for FEMA as well. So low interest, long-term loans are available for you to actually rebuild and get back on that path to recovery. We know how difficult it is. And believe me, we're going to be here as long as it takes. And as long as we work with the state, the county, your local municipalities, we all want to be in this together and get out favorably on the other end. So you're better and back into that state of normalcy.
Okay, Daryl Habush, FEMA Public Information Officer assigned to Tennessee. We really appreciate your time this morning. Thanks for spelling it out for us. As much as you can, enjoy your time in West Tennessee. I know it's a difficult task, but we got some great people here and, of course, some great places to grab some great food, too. So thanks again for coming on the Digital Desk. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, good morning. Those pollen levels are off the charts now that we have that warmer weather in place. Everything's starting to grow again. Grass and tree pollen will be the main issues with this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, a 9 out of 10. Only thing that could help us out, there's some rain on Saturday night that hopefully will wash away some of that pollen and improve conditions for Sunday. Today, though, allergies a problem, but no issues here in the weather otherwise. Sunshine, 74 at noon, 76 at 3 o'clock, upper 70s at 5, and right around 73 by 7 o'clock tonight. First Alert feature forecast keeping us nice and dry and sunny through the afternoon, as I mentioned, but around midnight tonight, it's cloudy and we may even sneak out a stray shower in areas like Batesville and Oxford, Memphis, even getting in on some of this, as well as areas in eastern portions of Shelby County like Collierville and Arlington, Bartlett, Cordova. Around 9 o'clock in the morning tomorrow is what you're looking at. It will be very light, spotty rain, but still something to keep in mind for the way into work tomorrow. We'll still have a chance for a stray shower in the afternoon. This is 3 o'clock, but most of us stay dry as we get a little later in the day. On Thursday, rain chances at 30% tomorrow, 20% Friday. Can't completely rule out a shower, but we'll probably hold off on rain in most areas until Saturday night. So let's look at First Alert Futurecast for Saturday. At noon, we're dry. So the morning, the afternoon, I'm not expecting much, if any, rain. But by 7 o'clock at night, there's those showers starting to creep into eastern Arkansas. Maybe in Millington, seeing a little bit of rain. But if you're in Memphis, you likely won't see any rain until around 8 or 9 o'clock at night. Still raining at midnight, though. And then showers push out of here by the time you get up on Sunday morning. This is 7 a.m. We're done with the rain. Rainfall totals will probably be close to an inch in Brownsville and Dyersburg, about a quarter to a half inch from Memphis into Holly Springs and Marks. No severe weather expected with this. There will be some instability, so you'll probably hear some rumbles of thunder. But if you want more details on that rain chance, you can get that on our First Alert weather app. Our First Alert 7-day forecast shows temperatures in the 70s through next week. 77 today, 73 tomorrow. It is a little cooler compared to today just because there'll be more clouds. And again, a few showers possible. 75 on Friday, upper 70s Saturday. With that cold front moving through Saturday night, that will bring our high down to 70 on Sunday, but we're back up to the mid 70s at the start of next week.
You know, right now there are college graduates getting ready to get the cap and gown and to go out in the real world and to face the real world and look for that first job. Well, there has been a book that's been written about fast start tips, ways to help job seekers launch a career, get noticed, and achieve early success. And I have the author right now about to join us here on the Action News 5 digital desk to talk about what's in the book and ways that people can fast start their career. I'm joined right now by Fred Sievert. He is a former president of New York Life Insurance Company who wrote this book. Mr. Sievert, good morning to you. I appreciate you joining us. Tell us about the book and why you decided to write it.
Yeah, good morning, Andrew. Thanks for having me on. Well, the genesis of this book, I had already written a couple of books, but this one, my daughter came to me as I was still president of New York Life Insurance Company, and she said she was in a low-level entry position at a big global cosmetics firm. And she said, you know, Dad, this is getting kind of boring and monotonous, and I'd like you to give me some tips on how I might get noticed and advance, make a real career out of this. So I thought long and hard about how I might notice someone deeper in the organization at New York Life, came up with 5 tips that I gave my daughter. She implemented them well. And over the course of just a couple of years, she took on more and more responsibility and several promotions. Then, you know, as a result of that, I used those 5 tips in 3 commencement addresses I had made and got a lot of rave reviews and feedback from that. And I ended up writing a short article, and my agent saw the article and said, you know, Fred, you've got another book here. And I said to myself, well, I thought I really hadn't thought about that very much, but, you know, you may have a point. And so I went ahead and expanded it to 10 tips and then wrote the book. And frankly, the initial audience for the book, most publishers ask you to target a relatively small, narrow audience. My initial audience was for Christian college students graduating from college. And it actually will make a great gift. I'm so glad I'm on your show this time of the year before the commencement period. But anyway, what happened is there was this massive expansion in the market because originally subtitle was going to be advice on entering the workforce for the first time. And then I thought about it and I said to myself, you know, there are adults coming back from child rearing years. There are military veterans coming back to take on a new role. So I changed the subtitle to entering or re-entering the workforce. And it even expanded beyond that because it was published, near the end of COVID, and so many people were reimagining their future and re-entering the workforce after a COVID furlough, that it became a very huge market at that point. And then I will say, Andrew, it even expanded more, and none of this was intentional. I think it was providential, but it even expanded more if you were to go on Amazon.com and read the reviews that are up there for this book, you'd find a good number of them, maybe half or more, say this book is not just for Christians because of the great value of the business advice. So that was the genesis of it. And, it's doing very well. And I'm pleased to have a chance to talk about it here on your show.
Yeah, I appreciate you being here and just kind of giving us an overview. If you were to boil it down to maybe a few sentences, because I think that anyone who talks about ways to get ahead or ways to stand out in a positive way or ways to be high achievers in today's world, I think that always is attractive to a lot of different generations out there, whether they're just entering the workforce or re-entering the workforce. If you had to boil it down to a few sentences, Fred, what would be those few sentences that your book really hones in on? Maybe some underlying themes.
Yeah, first of all, the advice given is very practical. And I get a lot of feedback on that applying the principles here really do work. And over the course of my career, I mentored over a dozen people who ultimately became CEOs or presidents of their organizations. So it has proven success. There's no question about that. But it zeroes in on, I'll just mention the 4 or 5 most popular chapters in the book. One was one of the biblical, there's 5 chapters on biblical principles in the workforce, and then there's 10 chapters on these fast starting your career tips. One of the ones on in the biblical principles, which caught a lot of interest, was a chapter that says, make Jesus as a business partner. Then in the other tips, the couple that were among the top 5 I gave to my daughter, which got expanded to 10. One was embracing the company's mission. And I told her at the time, I'd like you to memorize the company's mission so you could recite it. And she said to me, Dad, do you really want me walking around reciting the mission? And I said, no. I said, in fact, I don't want you to do that because you might appear arrogant, and arrogance is the biggest career blocker there is. But I want you to recite it so you can, memorize it so you can recite it, because it'll be embedded in your brain, and you can then judge and look at various decisions you're making to make sure they're consistent with the mission of the organization. And it's critically important for organizations to their actions to align with their mission. Another one that was very popular, maybe the most popular chapter, was one called, the title was Understanding the Underlying Financial Fundamentals of the Business. And my daughter never had any classes in economics, finance, accounting. So she was kind of petrified by that one, but I said, I'm going to give you some really simple ways as someone deep in the organization to get an understanding that very, very few people, even at high levels in the organization, will have. And this will differentiate you. You will be noticed because of your look at the numbers. Another one of the chapters that got a lot of attention was the very final one in the book, called Balancing Faith, Family, and Career. Because I think in the intensity of the work environment right now, so many people struggle with that, in making that balance. I remember early in my career, I kind of thought on Sundays I was a Christian, Mondays through Fridays I was an employee, and on Saturdays I was a husband and a spouse or a father. And, I came to learn pretty quickly that I was all of those things all of the time. And for that reason, I wrote this book because it integrates the 5 chapters on faith and the 10 chapters on business tips, integrates them together. So the biblical principles chapters have examples of how I applied them at work. And the fast tip chapters talk about the biblical support for the kinds of things I was recommending.
You know, I just want to make sure our audience knows that, because there's thousands of people that watch us each and every day, the title of your book, Fast Starting a Career of Consequence, Practical, Christ-Centered Advice for Entering or Re-entering the Workforce. You told me that the book appeals to so many people, people of faith and people who aren't necessarily all that spiritual. Why do you think it has this broad appeal?
Well, I really think because of the tips that stand on their own and have been very successful. And there's a lot of detail around things like making every performance, every presentation a command performance is one of the chapters. You know, over preparing for every meeting is another chapter. And I give many examples. Another one that was popular is take charge of your own development. And that's popular because in today's environment, there's a lot of pressure on making profits and say cutting expenses. And so you can't assume that your boss or your superiors are going to take charge of your development. So you need to do it yourself. And I gave several examples of ways in which people could do that. So it's really actionable. It's very actionable. And in fact, there's a companion workbook that's a bit shorter, not as much reading, but it goes through in detail and provides exercises for people to follow to implement, those tips.
With today's work climate, and you've mentioned it several times, what is the biggest mistake that you see with people entering the workforce nowadays? Is there something that's so glaring that you just kind of want to yell through the mountaintops, hey, you're doing this all wrong?
Yeah, well, when I started to observe people at New York Life, it answered to my daughter's question. One of the things, and New York Life's a huge company, 65,000 agents and employees. But this book applies to small companies, even entrepreneurial startups. But one of the things I noticed pretty quickly was people who were sort of coming in right at the opening bell or late to work and leaving early. And I said, there's a real simple way to demonstrate your commitment, which is another chapter in the book, demonstrate your commitment to the company. And that is, come in early and leave late occasionally, and you'll get noticed. You'll get noticed for doing that. But there are a whole bunch of other ways to differentiate yourself. But I think that's a mistake. I think as people advance in an organization, and I found this to be the case even at a very high level at New York Life, people reporting to me, they didn't understand the financials, so they weren't going to go any higher. And that's why I said that one chapter was so popular. But also, in addition to not understanding the financials, they didn't know how to think strategically. This is really big. In fact, in my view, this was the most impactful chapter in the book, which was finding ways to demonstrate strategic thinking capability. And I really lay this out in a way that asks questions. If someone's already working or about to go into a job, they can read that chapter, and it lists about 8 or 10 questions one can ask that can help you focus on strategy and the difference between strategy and tactics, because strategy was originally a war term, on how do you defeat the enemy. And I think in business, the analog is strategy is about beating the competition. So one must get an understanding of the competition. And for someone at a low level, entry level in the organization, that's pretty easy to do. If you read the strategic plan, you'll understand who the competitors are. I tell in the book, I even say you might do some mystery shopping if you can afford it. You won't be able to afford it, the auto business, automotive business, but in other businesses, you can buy the competitors' products and compare them against your own company's products and start to ask questions. Are we meeting the demands of the market? Are there ways in which these products could be improved? So that chapter, in my view, like I said, was probably the most impactful. It may not be something that everyone at a low level is going to benefit from immediately, but to demonstrate strategic thinking, extremely important.
We have tens of thousands of college graduates about to graduate from school, look for a job, perhaps enter the workforce. If you had one piece of advice that you'd like to give to all of them, what would it be?
Well, I think early on, as they're looking for a job and they're interviewing, I would say the chapter on memorizing the mission statement is very important, because if you go in and preparing for the interview, understanding the company, memorize the mission statement, don't recite it. Like I said, don't recite it, but indicate you're aware of the mission of the company. And if it's true, you can say you have a passion for that mission. I wouldn't lie about it, but if you have a passion for the mission, this is going to help you immensely in the interview process.
He is the former president of New York Life Insurance Company, Fred Sievert. We really appreciate this discussion. Thanks so much for talking with us, and best of luck to you in retirement and all that you do.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Appreciate being on.
Hey, good morning. Those pollen levels are off the charts now that we have that warmer weather in place. Everything's starting to grow again. Grass and tree pollen will be the main issues with this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, a 9 out of 10. Only thing that could help us out, there's some rain on Saturday night that hopefully will wash away some of that pollen and improve conditions for Sunday. Today, though, allergies a problem, but no issues here in the weather otherwise. Sunshine, 74 at noon, 76 at 3 o'clock, upper 70s at 5, and right around 73 by 7 o'clock tonight. First alert featurecast keeping us nice and dry and sunny through the afternoon, as I mentioned, but around midnight tonight, it's cloudy, and we may even sneak out a stray shower in areas like Batesville and Oxford, Memphis, even getting in on some of this, as well as areas in eastern portions of Shelby County like Collierville and Arlington, Bartlett, Cordova. Around 9 o'clock in the morning tomorrow is what you're looking at. It will be very light, spotty rain, but still something to keep in mind for the way into work tomorrow. We'll still have a chance for a stray shower in the afternoon. This is 3 o'clock, but most of us stay dry as we get a little later in the day. On Thursday, rain chances at 30% tomorrow, 20% Friday. Can't completely roll out a shower, but we'll probably hold off on rain in most areas until Saturday night. So let's look at first alert featurecast for Saturday. At noon, we're dry. So the morning, the afternoon, I'm not expecting much, if any, rain. But by 7 o'clock at night, there's those showers starting to creep into eastern Arkansas. Maybe in Millington, seeing a little bit of rain. But if you're in Memphis, you likely won't see any rain until around 8 or 9 o'clock at night. Still raining at midnight, though. And then showers push out of here by the time you get up on Sunday morning. This is 7 a.m. We're done with the rain. Rainfall totals will probably be close to an inch in Brownsville and Dyersburg, about a quarter to a half inch from Memphis into Holly Springs and Marks. No severe weather expected with this. There will be some instability, so you'll probably hear some rumbles of thunder. But if you want more details on that rain chance, you can get that on our First Alert weather app. Our First Alert 7-day forecast shows temperatures in the 70s through next week, 77 today, 73 tomorrow. It is a little cooler compared to today just because there'll be more clouds. And again, a few showers possible. 75 on Friday, upper 70s Saturday. With that cold front moving through Saturday night, that will bring our high down to 70 on Sunday, but we're back up to the mid 70s at the start of next week.
Police lights in your rearview mirror enough to make your blood pressure rise. We all know that feeling, but an ordinance now will change all that when Memphis police can pull you over. Bria Bolden reports.
After weeks of revisions, an ordinance changing how Memphis police pull people over for minor traffic violations is official. In a 10-0 vote, council members passed the ordinance. Its sponsor, Councilwoman Michaeline Easter Thomas, says the ordinance will put police where they're needed.
What this ordinance is not saying is that do not go to those aggressive drivers. It's not saying we're not looking for, as MPD, not to look for counterfeit tags. It's diverting our resources to where we need it most, which is for MPD to fight crime and for us and for them to be in their communities being supportive and engaging so that we can build our positive rapport between our officers and our community members.
Memphis police would be able to make traffic stops for primary violations like aggressive driving, but police will not make stops for secondary violations like expired registration if the vehicle has been registered with the city within 60 days, license plates not securely attached to the vehicle but clearly displayed, single brake light, headlight, or running light outages, and even a loose bumper.
Okay, so Tennessee Governor Bill Lee is asking Democrats and Republicans to work together, put aside their differences to come up with new gun legislation. The governor made that request yesterday after signing an executive order that'll make it tougher for criminals to buy guns. Action News 5's Joyce Peterson breaks down the details.
Tennesseans are depending on us.
Tennessee Governor Bill Lee acknowledging the heartache triggered by the deadly Covenant school shooting and the heated gun control protests that followed at the Capitol. Said lawmakers have an obligation to take action.
To remind people that we should set aside politics and pride and accomplish something that the people of Tennessee want us to get accomplished.
Lee signed an executive order Tuesday to strengthen background checks for gun purchases. It requires the court system to provide information to the TBI within 72 hours of someone's latest criminal activity. The TBI must also review the current gun buying process in Tennessee and report back any issues within 60 days. The governor also asked the General Assembly to pass a new, stronger order of protection law.
I think that this was a big move for the governor to outright say we need to do something.
Senate Minority Leader Ramesh Akbari, a Democrat from Memphis, says Governor Lee's executive order is a good first step, but more is needed. She'd like to see tougher red flag laws passed, making it much harder for the mentally ill to have access to guns.
I think that that is something that can immediately be done, that should be bipartisan, that can really fix or get to the heart of the issue around gun safety.
Akbari said she'd like to see a ban on certain types of assault weapons, but says that is not likely to happen in Tennessee. So the focus now, reaching across the aisle to find compromise on common sense gun control legislation.
You know, our babies can't keep dying while they're at school, and you should be able to go to a Waffle House and not risk being shot, or the grocery store or church. And just know that we are working as hard as we can to get something done this legislative session.
We should be very serious about real solutions and about getting real solutions across the finish line.
So Republican House Speaker Cameron Sexton told Action News 5, as we look at mental health orders of protection, we must have a level due process, protections from fraudulent claims, and a quick judicial hearing for individuals who pose threats. The House is willing to work towards bipartisan solutions to protect all children at their schools, in their communities, and inside their homes. Speaker Sexton also said that Governor Lee's leadership and commitment to finding solutions to gun violence is appreciated. If you're one of the hundreds of thousands of Mississippians on Medicaid, listen up. The Division of Medicaid's going back to pre-pandemic levels and operations that you need to take action and avoid losing coverage. Courtney Ann Jackson from our sister station WLBT explains.
A Medicaid continuous enrollment provision in place since 2020 expired the first of this month. Everyone from advocates to hospitals have been trying to spread the word in hopes to reduce the number of Medicaid recipients dropped from the rolls.
Nobody wants any surprises at the moment or at the point of care. Neither the provider, and not just St. Dominic's, but any hospital, any doctor office, any of the medical services that you might take advantage of, and certainly patients don't want to be caught by surprise.
The Division of Medicaid says it will take 14 months to complete the renewals. They'll first use electronic verification sources, but if they're not able to approve you that way, you'll get a form in the mail that you'll have 30 days to return. Mississippi Health Advocacy Program says they'll be there to field questions through Health Help Mississippi.
We're now going through this process where it's very complex. And if you don't know, or if you're not as informed, then things can go wrong. And that's why we just want people to be as informed as they possibly can. And we're here to do that.
There's also an expected domino effect for the state's hospitals. The Mississippi Hospital Association president and CEO Tim Moore.
Just back of the napkin looks that we've taken, we've seen roughly a 3% drop. So when that goes away, we'll see that rise. There's no question about it.
So what does 3% really mean in the grand scheme of things? Just the cost of operations to keep hospitals in the state functioning?
It's $23 million a day. So when you start looking at 3% of the collected amount to provide those services, 3% is a large number.
All right, it's tax season again. All the groans out there, we know it. Well, do you know if you're going to get flagged for an audit? Do you want to know ways so you don't get flagged for an audit, rather? Best Life Report talks about this, talks about audit triggers that can make the IRS do a double take on your tax returns. Listen to this.
The receipts, paperwork, calculations, and of course, the massive headaches. Nobody likes doing taxes.
I typically procrastinate until the last minute.
Even though only 0.38% of individual tax returns were audited last year, there are still some things that can increase your risk of being one of the unlucky few that gets audited.
If you have a sophisticated return trying to do it yourself, that would be a dangerous mistake.
Something that can get you flagged for an audit are large cash deposits. If you operate a cash business like a restaurant, salon, car wash, or taxi service, since there's so much cash, it's easier for business owners to hide some of their income. The bank will notify the IRS if you make a deposit of at least $10,000. This also includes cash from side hustles.
If you make more than $600 on your side hustle, should be issued a 1099.
Other things that can get you flagged: claiming too many deductions, being self-employed, making excessively large charitable donations, and having assets in another country. Another red flag: mixing in personal expenses with business expenses. Also, reporting a lot of expenses on your tax return ending in a 0 or a 5.
Using it in ways that you can leverage certain smart aspects of your finances to really catapult yourself in 2023 and beyond.
Another tip you want to do is invest in yourself. Set aside some of that refund cash for a gym membership, home gym, dental work, or a new wardrobe. Let's talk about this story that's coming out of Georgia. It opens the door to a lot of questions. How someone that's placed in hospice care and how their pain medication is prescribed and managed. Now, the state medical board in Georgia is investigating a doctor for his reported role in an overdose that nearly killed a grandmother. Our national investigative team's Andy Parati explains how a woman's daughter was implicated in this scheme. Take a look.
Sheriff deputies and a county coroner respond to a home in 2017. They're told a woman inside, Shirley Couch, may just have hours to live.
Miss Shirley? Miss Shirley? Oh, you hurting, baby?
My mom's lying lifeless in a bed. She's in a coma.
Deputies in this North Georgia home find vials of morphine and bottles of antipsychotics in the room. Look at the coroner's face.
Oh, she's got a patch.
When she discovers someone placed fentanyl patches on Shirley, a powerful combination of narcotics usually restricted to patients shortly before death, all administered to Shirley, who was secretly placed in hospice care by a family member.
She's actually being overdosed.
Was your mom dying?
Absolutely not.
Christy Carr is Shirley's youngest daughter.
What was she doing in hospice care?
That was my question exactly.
Who admitted Shirley into hospice? Renee Bonner, Shirley's oldest daughter, who worked at Homestead Hospice as an administrative assistant. Suspicious of her big sister, Christy called 911.
We are watching a murder, and I'm not going to stand by and watch it happen anymore.
In 2019, a judge found Renee guilty of attempted murder. In 6 years after the family was told their mother was knocking on death's door, Shirley's still alive.
What did you think when you woke up from the coma?
I was so confused. I didn't know where was I at and
We visited Shirley this past February.
But to have your child try to kill you, that's hard to live with.
But that's not the end of the story. Shirley's family believes someone else is to blame for nearly killing their mother, someone who never met her. He's Dr. James Shiver.
No, I did not see her physically.
Seen here in a 2021 deposition, part of a recently settled lawsuit the family filed against the doctor. He's the former medical director for Homestead Hospice. In the deposition, Shiver claims he prescribed Shirley morphine, fentanyl, and other drugs, but only after consulting with nurses on the phone, caring for Shirley. According to court records filed by Shirley's attorney, which includes the doctor's Verizon call logs, Shiver and the nurses never spoke.
And this is an empty vial.
Multiple requests for an on-camera interview with Dr. Shiver went unanswered, but over the phone, he denies any wrongdoing. Dr. Shiver claims he can't remember speaking with Shirley's nurses, telling me whether or not they were and when they were called, I don't know.
Exactly.
God is the only one that decides when it's our time. Because in my opinion, how's that any different than putting a gun to your head and pulling the trigger?
Remember,
They're just doing it with drugs.
Going to get every call. Every call.
The United States Department of Agriculture says providing healthy food benefits for breastfeeding moms and infants at the grocery store is critical for keeping the country healthy. And it's a problem.
Well, the USDA says about 6 million Americans are missing out on some free food. Key nutrients for women, infants, and children are not making it to the family. We have Action News 5's Washington News Bureau reporter Brendan Cullerton showing us what the Department of Agriculture is doing to keep families fed.
The United States Department of Agriculture says providing healthy food benefits for breastfeeding moms and infants at the grocery store is critical for keeping the country healthy. And it's a problem if those eligible don't receive benefits.
Connecting eligible families to WIC's benefits is one of our top priorities. It is an incredible public health intervention, and we've got too many eligible families missing out.
The Agriculture Department says 80% of eligible pregnant mothers and infants are receiving WIC benefits from the grocery store. Children can continue receiving healthy foods until age 5. That's where families are falling off.
We're really looking at how do we hold on to those participants? What kinds of conveniences or improvements, tweaks do we need to make to the program to make sure that we're serving all of our eligible children?
The National WIC Association says keeping children on the program longer can help curb childhood obesity, and part of their solution is increasing public knowledge of the program.
The National WIC Association has been leading a national recruitment and retention campaign for the last 6 years to try and address some of these barriers.
The USDA says they are making packages more enticing, like offering bagels as whole grain options and switching some of the milk benefits to yogurt.
Changing the food package to be more responsive and adaptive to what families want is one of the important changes we are hoping will impact participation.
USDA plans to have the new food package in place during 2024. In Washington, I'm Brendan Cullerton.
After being closed 5 years, Cossett Library downtown has reopened its doors to the public. There was a $6.8 million renovation bill just wrapped up the library on South Front Street. Now it has more than 10,000 books, but the senior manager says libraries these days offer more than just books.
Yes, the books will bring you in, and we still want to be able to provide that kind of access. However, people also want more. They want community, and they want to be able to come around each other and share ideas and collaborate with one another. And this is an opportunity to be able to bring people around for that reason.
There's also an upstairs performance space, a cafe, sewing machines, 3D printers, and more. The library is going to open at 9 o'clock. Already did about an hour and 15 minutes ago. And speaking of reopening, less than 5 months, Tumley Park will be back in action. Of course, that's later than they originally announced. They wanted it open before Memphis in May. That is not what's going to happen. This is a look at some of their renovations. It is much smaller for Memphis in May World Championship Barbecue Cooking Contest. It's also much smaller for crowds at the Beale Street Music Fest. Again, it will be open this Labor Day weekend. It's supposed to be open partially for Memphis in May, but again, those areas will be much smaller because of all the different additions that the Memphis River Parks Partnership put at Tom Lee Park. For the second time in 2 days, new legislation has been signed into law in Arkansas. Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders signed a major component of what's called the Safer, Stronger Arkansas Act. Governor pointed out the package's provision that violent offenders serve 100% of their sentences. She also notes the increasing room in the county detention centers as the state builds a new 3,000-bed prison. A reduction in the amount of cotton being planted as farmers switch to more profitable crops. This is according to Perspective Planning, which is a yearly study done by the USDA. Cotton acreage down nearly 25% from 680,000 to 480,000.
Yeah, but the price is down as well. So, you know, it seems like they get a reduction in one thing and then they get a reduction in what they get paid for the price of the products.
Some farmers are just making enough money to pay for production costs, paying some towards loans, leaving very little for left over for them. Nearly half of all retired Americans believe they will outlive their current savings. That's according to a new study from Clever Real Estate. Clever Real Estate. In this Watching Your Wallet report, investigator Rachel DePompa takes a closer look at a report and finds out what you can do to improve your retirement outlook in our sky-high age of inflation.
2022 was a difficult year for the economy and especially retirees. Matt Brannon, a data writer at Clever Real Estate, says the survey of 1,000 retired Americans found their savings dropped an average of $21,000 last year.
Some retirees are in really dire straits. 37% of retirees said they have no retirement savings, and many are making difficult sacrifices, with 1 in 5 saying they've skipped meals to preserve their savings, and 1 in 4 saying they've skipped medical appointments or treatments to save money.
Unlike working Americans, retirees have fewer opportunities to raise their income. Brannon says 30% rely entirely on Social Security for income with no savings.
That might explain why 1 in 3 retirees told us that they're considering returning to work in some form, whether that's freelancing, part-time work, or even looking for a full-time job.
If you haven't retired yet, Brannon says the key is to start early. Invest as much as you can in a 401k or a Roth IRA. If you are nearing retirement, he says, read everything you can, try to save more. There are retirement calculators online to help you understand how much to save, and a certified financial planner could also help. With this Watching Your Wallet, I'm Rachel DePompa.
Let's talk about Memphis being the birthplace of the blues and the home of rock and roll. Or the home of the blues, birthplace of rock and roll. Whichever it is, there is certainly an incredible legacy of music in Memphis. Today's 5-star story highlighting the people, places, and things that make us proud to call the Mid-South home. Kim Clark drops the needle on a Memphis record pressing.
Vinyl is back, outpacing CD sales for the first time since 1987, and Memphis is at the forefront.
We never had any idea that it would get to where it's at now.
Mark Yoshida is Chief Operating Officer and founding partner of Memphis Record Pressing.
Every year when we started doing vinyl, the industry was saying, oh, maybe 1 or 2 more years before it hits its plateau in sales. And then next thing we knew, 2 or 3 years later, they're saying, oh, 3 or 4 years more of growth. And it just keeps growing.
It all started in 2015.
So we found some really old presses that were about 45 to 50-year-old presses. We revived them, started on our trek through the vinyl world.
Today, Memphis Record Pressing, or MRP, is on track to become the largest vinyl record manufacturer by volume in North America.
First year, we probably had about, when we started doing vinyl, maybe 50 people in the first year, and then now we have about 375, and by June, we'll probably have over 500 employees. Right now, we're around 62,000 records a day. We're getting ready to put 6 more presses online. We'll have 18 more after that. We're going from 14 presses to 50 presses altogether. By June, we're going to be producing 120,000 records a day. And that will make us the largest record pressing plant in North America.
Memphis Record Pressing is a wholesaler that deals directly with major record labels,
Sony, Universal, Warner,
as well as hundreds of independent artists and labels.
We actually press the records. There's what's called a metal plate called a stamper that has, it's a mirror image of a negative of the record. Think of it as a big waffle iron where we're pressing together the records. We package it into a sleeve, a jacket, box it up, we shrink wrap it so it's retail ready, goes out the door.
For 8 years now, MRP has been in a constant state of expansion, quickly outgrowing the company's original 11,000 square foot building on Brother Boulevard at the Bartlett and Memphis City line.
Now with all our expansion, we're about 80,000 square feet, and then we have a second campus where we do our packaging and our warehousing, shipping, and receiving. That's 108,000 square feet. So we're close to just under 200,000 square feet in total.
We get to talk with our friend at WAVN The Trend, Talisa Franklin, joining us on the digital desk. How's it going for you, Talisa? Isn't it amazing weather outside? God.
Oh my God, I cannot wait to get outside today. When I tell you, I cannot wait. I'm like a little kid getting to the playground, baby. Look, recess today. I'm going outside. I'm eating outside. I'm playing outside. And I'm going to hug everybody I see outside.
Tell us where to go so we can get a hug from Talisa Franklin. I need to know.
Yes, because I'm a hug. You know, Andrew, this past Saturday, let me tell you, I hugged so many amazing young people, so many children on this weekend for this Easter extravaganza. When I tell you, Memphis, Bluff City, you guys showed up and y'all showed out. We had so many children. It was unbelievable that so many children came out. I had somebody come up to me, Andrew, and say, Talisa, it felt like the old Liberty Land days. We saw lines galore and the children were happy and it was all safe. It was peaceful. It was safe. Shout out to MPD. And let me tell you, we didn't even have a lot of officers out there. We had maybe 2 or 3. But when I tell you, nobody can tell me that our young people do not know how to act. They came out, they had a great time, and most of all, they felt this event was for them. And I was just excited for so many of my partners that came and said, Talisa, we want to help you make this a reality for these young people. Let's give them something fun to do. And so I cannot thank them enough. Volunteer Memphis, Leadership Memphis, Sleeves Up West Tennessee, UT, Humana, Oak Street, Mid-South Transplant Foundation, and so many other private partners said, Talisa, whatever you can do that we can do to help our young people have a good time, I'm in for it. Let me tell you, I'm excited about just what I do when I do community events. Andrew, I am committed to doing community events where our community can come out, have a good time, get the health and wellness resources they need, but more so let people know that we care. We care in the 901. We're just a caring city. I don't care what other folks are saying about Memphis, but all I'm telling you, there is a lot of bright spots in Memphis. And on this past Saturday, we saw bright spots of thousands of children that were out there having a great time. All the services was free because of so many partners that said yes. So I can only imagine what next year going to be. If this was like this for year 2, oh my God, next year is going to be bananas. So that's why I put yellow on that.
I love seeing the video, and you're absolutely right. We constantly see the generosity of the Mid-South. You know, it's one of those things where when the survey is done across the country, we are always the most generous. We have the most economically disadvantaged, but yet we give the most per capita. It's amazing to see each and every year that survey comes out. And I know that not only did you have an amazing display and all the people last weekend for the Easter celebration, but you have amazing events happening all year long, Talisa. We know you love Memphis and the Mid-South so much. What you got going on this weekend?
Let me tell you, many people right now, Andrew, they are faced with saying, I need a career, I need employment, I want to provide better for my family. And so there is an amazing career fair that's going on this week, y'all. Job fair, career fair that's happening on the 12th, which is Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. over at the Career Concepts, right? And it's presented by HireQuest. But what they're doing is they're going to allow people to get jobs right on the spot. And so if you're out there and you're saying, Talisa, this is an answered prayer, I need a new job, I need a new career, I want to provide better for my family, get yourself over to that job fair on yesterday. On tomorrow, there will be opportunities that is awaiting you. And so my brother, my sister, do not be disencouraged. Know that people in the Mid-South are really creating things so that you can have every opportunity to be the great person that you know that you are. And so tomorrow, y'all, job fair, career fair, get over there to Career Concepts. Google Career Concepts. It's on 2835 Airways Boulevard in Memphis. An amazing CEO, Kamikio Lewis, is doing great things to get people prepared for greatness. But I was excited to know that she's not only preparing them for greatness, but at the same token, she's offering them opportunities with different partners. So y'all get there, okay? Get there. And then, y'all, I want to remind y'all, Friday is Blue and Green Day with the Mid-South Transplant Foundation. So what is that? Baby, we're going to shine the light on organ and tissue donation in our community. Shining, we're going to turn the whole city blue and green. Why? Because there's so many people that are awaiting a life-saving transplant. And because of the awareness that somebody maybe didn't understand the importance of it, now say, you know what? I'm going to do that little heart on my license. I'm going to make sure that I be a blessing to somebody. When my end of life is here, I have to be a blessing to somebody else. You want to have more information, go to midsouhtransplant.org, midsouhtransplant.org. You get all the information. Listen, I'll be riding around the town. I'm excited for so many people said, Talisa, I want to join with you. So many of my pastors, you guys have made me feel really, really good to be a member of the clergy faith, right? Then Talisa, my church, my ministry is standing with you because you believe. Many people may or may not know 4 of my family members are living, Andrew, because of organ and tissue transplantation. And so I'm telling you, as a woman of color, other people like myself are depending on somebody to say yes to live a little bit longer. So thank you for the people that said yes for my family and my extended family. And so this Friday, y'all, let's turn the Bluff City blue and green, y'all, for Blue and Green Day Mid-South. It is a national initiative so that we can have awareness of the importance of shining the light on organ and tissue donation. And then once you get through that, baby, you can come to the library and let's party with Egg-Pay, y'all. Egg-Pay is one of God's best drummers. I love Egg-Pay, right? And the African Jazz Ensemble. Egg-Pay is always with me with Juneteenth, and I love just hearing the beating of the drums, and I just love that beat. And so, when we get through celebrating Blue and Green Day, we all got to head on over to the library, the main library on Poplar, and let's enjoy Shell on Wheels, Egg-Pay, and the African Jazz Ensemble. And guess what, Memphis? It's free. Guess what, Bluff City? It's free. So let's get out and have a good time on this weekend. So it's a great week. Get your job, celebrate Blue and Green Day, and most of all, then enjoy great music by Egg-Pay on this Friday night.
Easy. That sounds amazing, like it always does, Talisa. We appreciate you. We look forward to these events. Thank you so much for informing us and organizing all that you do each and every day. We appreciate you so much, Talisa. Thanks.
I appreciate you even more, my brother. Be blessed. Keep shining his light on this TV. All right.
Well, thank you, Talisa. God bless you. Take care.
Hey, good morning. Those pollen levels are off the charts now that we have that warmer weather in place. Everything's starting to grow again. Grass and tree pollen will be the main issues with this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. A 9 out of 10. Only thing that could help us out, there's some rain on Saturday night that hopefully will wash away some of that pollen and improve conditions for Sunday. Today, though, allergies a problem, but no issues here in the weather otherwise. Sunshine, 74 at noon, 76 at 3 o'clock, upper 70s at 5, and right around 73 by 7 o'clock tonight. First Alert Featurecast keeping us nice and dry and sunny through the afternoon, as I mentioned, but around midnight tonight, it's cloudy, and we may even sneak out a stray shower in areas like Batesville and Oxford, Memphis, even getting in on some of this, as well as areas in eastern portions of Shelby County like Collierville and Arlington, Bartlett, Cordova. Around 9 o'clock in the morning tomorrow is what you're looking at. It will be very light, spotty rain, but still something to keep in mind for the way into work tomorrow. We'll still have a chance for a stray shower in the afternoon. This is 3 o'clock, but most of us stay dry as we get a little later in the day. On Thursday, rain chances at 30% tomorrow, 20% Friday. Can't completely roll out a shower, but we'll probably hold off on rain in most areas until Saturday night. So let's look at First Alert Featurecast for Saturday. At noon, we're dry. So the morning, the afternoon, I'm not expecting much, if any, rain. But by 7 o'clock at night, there's those showers starting to creep into eastern Arkansas. Maybe in Millington, seeing a little bit of rain. But if you're in Memphis, you likely won't see any rain until around 8 or 9 o'clock at night. Still raining at midnight, though. And then showers push out of here by the time you get up on Sunday morning. This is 7 a.m. We're done with the rain. Rainfall totals will probably be close to an inch in Brownsville and Dyersburg, about a quarter to a half inch from Memphis into Holly Springs and Marks. No severe weather expected with this. There will be some instability, so you'll probably hear some rumbles of thunder. But if you want more details on that rain chance, you can get that on our First Alert weather app. Our First Alert 7-day forecast shows temperatures in the 70s through next week. 77 today, 73 tomorrow. It is a little cooler compared to today just because there'll be more clouds. And again, a few showers possible. 75 on Friday, upper 70s Saturday. With that cold front moving through Saturday night, that will bring our high down to 70 on Sunday, but we're back up to the mid 70s at the start of next week.
Amanda Hansen back here at the Action News 5 digital desk. And this morning we want to talk about shingles. A lot of times I think people believe that this happens in older people, but if you didn't know, it can happen in younger people too. And so joining us now to talk more about this is Dr. Cyrilyn Walters with Regional One Health. Good morning, doctor. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm glad to be talking with you because I think this is such an interesting topic. And one reason why, my sister, she's in her early 30s, recently had the shingles, and she was like, I had no idea at this age that I could get that sort of thing. So I felt like this is such a great topic to talk about a little bit more. So I guess first off, let's just talk about what shingles is.
Okay, so shingles is actually what we refer to as herpes zoster. And so this is an infection that you can get from having a prior infection with chickenpox. It comes from the same virus. And so when you had chickenpox, that virus remained in your body, but it remained dormant or inactive. And for various reasons later in life, then you reactivate that virus and it causes shingles, which is a rash similar to chickenpox, but it's in one area of your body on one side that causes the same blistering, rash, and burning that you may have when you had chickenpox in the past.
Are there things that can trigger shingles in individuals, such as stress, something like that?
It's a theory that stress may induce shingles. One of the things that we do know is that shingles reactivate when your body's immune system is at its lowest. And that's why we tend to hear, you don't get shingles until you're older, because when you're a young child or when you're an older adult or past the age of 65, your immune system starts to weaken. And so now that we're seeing it in people that are under the age of 50, there is some concerns about, multifactorially, whether we have younger people that are sicker, and so they have some reduced immune system, or other stressors that cause your immune system to be lower at that time, including COVID that we just went through the pandemic.
That's a good point with COVID. Who's most at risk, though? We've kind of touched on, a lot of times people see this in older people. Are those the ones that are most at risk?
So those and anyone who has a weakened immune system. So about 1 in 3 of us will get shingles in our lifetime. And the ones who tend to be the most at risk are people who are over 50. And that's why the vaccines are recommended for that age group. And then anyone that has any type of immunity or weakened immunity. So from various diseases, like say HIV, if that was uncontrolled, children that have, immune disorders, or even adults with cancers and things like that, that may have weakened immunity.
It makes sense. Thank goodness there's the chickenpox shot that's now available. They didn't have that when I was a kid, and I remember my mom would take me around kids that had the chickenpox so I would get it at a young age. So I guess let's talk about some of the signs, symptoms that people need to look out for and maybe would alert them that maybe this is what they have.
So the first thing that people tend to feel is like a burning, almost like an internal itch in an area of their body. It can be the trunk of your body. It can be on an arm, a leg, or a face. And so that's the first thing you started feeling without seeing the rash. About 5 to 7 days into that is when you start seeing kind of the fluid-filled rash that we come so comfortable with for chickenpox. And, of course, chickenpox is not as common. So there may be some people who've never actually seen the blistering rash, but it then blisters up in that same area, one side of your body, and over time, then that crusts over like you would have with a typical chickenpox. Some people may end up having fevers associated with it or abdominal pain, but the primary problem is the rash on one side of your body.
My sister, she immediately was she felt like it was that nerve pain. I mean, she said it was horrible. She ended up, she's not one that would just go into the emergency room. She ended up in the emergency room wanting to know what was going on. And then, of course, a few days later, that's when that rash appeared and it became evident that that's what it was. But at first it was kind of like, what is this? And she's a nurse, which is interesting enough. But I know we touched on this some, but younger people, why is it, you think, that more younger people are getting shingles like this? I know we mentioned the stress. Is that kind of, and just the weakened immune system, is that kind of really what it's all about?
There's a couple different theories. And actually, if you look at the data, it shows that, as time has been going on, younger people are having higher rates of shingles than people over 50. They're starting to plateau a little bit. One of the major thought process is that if you were born before 1980, just like you talked about with your mom, everyone kind of got shingles naturally, or chickenpox, naturally. And so that chickenpox immunity they're feeling may be a little stronger than the vaccines we're now getting. And so you have kind of younger persons who, don't remember getting chickenpox or may not have the vaccine early enough. And then that causes a weaker immunity than if you had chickenpox when you were for the older population. And so because of that, they feel that, it doesn't protect you as well. And so that reactivation is quicker. There's also some theories about the chickenpox vaccine that you used to get in the past was a live vaccine. And so that may have induced kind of that reactivation.
This is just so interesting to me, just because my sister was personally affected by this. Let's talk a little bit more about shingles itself. How long does it last? How contagious is it to pass along to other people?
Okay. So like we discussed, that burning, nerve pain, itching that you may feel, that usually is about the first 5 days. And around that time, you are not contagious. You aren't contagious until you have those blistering rashes that are starting to open. And so that's usually in that first 7 to 10 days is when you start seeing that blistering rash. Over time, that crusts over. So once it's crusted, again, you're no longer contagious. And overall, the whole exposure can last for about 2 to 4 weeks in terms of getting the burn-in, getting the rash, having the rash kind of clear up and everything resolve. It can take about 2 to 4 weeks. Unlike chickenpox, it is only contagious when you touch the fluid from the blister and rash. So for most people, they can just cover up that rash and make sure that they wash their hands pretty well and not interact with it. And in that situation, you won't be contagious to others.
So does it help to get shingles early?
It does not, because there is an opportunity that you can get it a second time. Most people only get it once in their lifetime, but conceivably you get it earlier, then you have that chance of, as you get older and your immunity weakens again, to be able to get it a second time.
I was going to ask you, is it something that you can get again? And so you answered that question for me, which, I hope I don't end up with it at some point. But after experiencing what happened with my sister, I'm just like, wow. What about treatment? Does treatment depend? Does it vary from person to person on what works to help with either the nerve pain, the rash? How is it treated?
So when you do know or have, just like your sister, have a inkling that, there's a rash or something is going on, you want to get treated with antiviral medication. So you have acyclovir or valacyclovir. Those are antivirals that you want to give within the first 48 or 72 hours. And that reduces not only the duration of the rash and the symptoms, but it reduces your chance of having what we call post-herpetic neuralgia, which is a complication that you can get after shingles, where that burning and that pain in that area actually never goes away.
I've heard about that. I've actually done stories with people that have it's just debilitating and awful. What about the vaccine? We've talked about the vaccine some. Who should get it? When should they get it? Tell us more.
So for the shingles vaccine, it's recommended for patients or persons over the age of 50, and it's a 2-shot vaccine. Now, if you have a weakened immune system, or say someone that has, cancer, and we know that's going on, then your provider, your physician can order for you to get the vaccine earlier than the age of 50. It's available, however, it's an expensive vaccine. So if you want to go based on recommendations, then those would be the persons that are more likely to have that shingles is age 50 and above.
With more younger people seeing shingles, do you think eventually that might be altered a little bit on the age?
It could be, because initially it was actually 65 and above, and so they reduced it to 50. And like we talked about, the data is showing that patients or persons over 65 and 70, the number of persons getting shingles have kind of plateaued, so it's not getting any higher. But the numbers that are going up are mostly in the people in the 40 to 50 range, and of course the younger ones are starting to go up. So I think if that trend continues, you might see the recommendation continue to drop.
Well, Dr. Walters, this interview has been so interesting to me. Is there anything else that you want to mention before we let you go?
In addition to getting the shingles vaccine, which is for over 50, get your chickenpox vaccine. So that is one of the things that will help kind of reduce the chances of you having that reactivation. So they kind of go hand in hand, since they're the same virus. It's just at different presentations.
Well, good deal. Well, Dr. Walters, I really appreciate your time, and thanks so much.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Amanda Hansen here at the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Temperatures starting to heat up, people wanting to get out and about and travel. And man, it's that time of year, right? So, the pandemic, a lot of people were impacted. They weren't able to get out and about, and older adults are more ready than ever to vacation with their families. And so we want to take a look at the annual AARP Travel Trends Survey, get an insight on the latest on travel behaviors, expectations, that sort of thing. So joining me now to talk more about it is Jim Linehan. He is the travel editor for the AARP magazine. Jim, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
I'm glad to have you on here. I think this is something a lot of people, they're itching to get out and travel more. So let's talk about this survey and just some of the findings that really stood out to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So our travel trends survey this year showed, as you just stated, people are eager to get out there and travel. And what they're most interested in is family travel. So spending time with their family is really important. And specifically, they're really interested in road trips this year. Road trips are an economical way to travel and provide a lot of flexibility and good time with the family.
Despite those inflated prices, most Americans 50 plus, they're they're planning to travel. What types of trips are they taking? What are people looking for?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, the road trip really provides you with a great way to travel on a budget. And we've all seen the news stories about, the airport hassles, the flight delays. Of course, we know, with inflation, airfares have really gone up. And so even with gas prices, maybe a little high, but not too bad right now. But even with that, people are finding that car trips are really an economical way to travel. And of course, as I mentioned, it's a great way to spend time with family.
Oh, for sure. And like you said, all these inflated prices, I like the idea of taking those road trips. Gas prices, I mean, a year ago were much worse than what they are right now, from what I can remember. So if you are that family that's wanting to get together, take those family vacations where it's maybe grandmother and mom and dad and the kiddos, grandkids, what is a good way to budget? Do you have any tips on maybe some of the best avenues to do that?
Yeah, we do. So, of course, you want to save money while you're on the trip as well. And 3 quick tips for you. I would say one is really get to know that GPS app you have, because besides just telling you what route to take, a lot of times there's gas price information in real time there, so you can save money at the pump by choosing the right station. Book your hotel really as early as you can in the planning process, because that's often how you get the best rate. Although sometimes they're also last minute deals. So as I mentioned, road trips are flexible, so sometimes you can take advantage of last minute deals as well. A third thing, take advantage of those rewards and loyalty programs out there from hotel chains, but also from third-party booking sites that let you book travel from across providers. They often have rewards programs as well. And I should mention, AARP membership is a great way to save money on travel as well. Members get deals on all sorts of travel perks, car rentals and hotels and so on.
Oh, for sure. I've gone and looked at some of those deals too, so they are pretty good. Let's talk about, in the survey, does it talk about maybe where people are wanting to go, those places that kind of stand out that people are saying, hey, I want to go there?
Yes, absolutely. Now, I will tell you personally, if it were me, I'd want to take a road trip to Memphis and enjoy all the incredible music attractions you have there. But in the survey, here's what people told us. One of the top places to travel was Florida, which makes a lot of sense, especially for family travel. Theme parks, the beach, lots of things for families to do there. They also told us that California is a popular destination. And then interestingly, even for family travel, people want to go to Las Vegas. So we think of that maybe as more adults oriented, but there's a lot of things for families to do there as well.
That was an interesting one. I wouldn't think that for the family vacation, but you're right. There are a lot of things to do there that's even geared more towards the kids. And hey, you're welcome to Memphis anytime. Definitely some good food along with that music.
I'm coming right out.
Absolutely. Well, hey, where can people go if they want to get some more information about the things we were talking about today?
Yeah, so visit our website, aarp.org/travel. We not only have information about this travel trends survey, but also articles with vacation ideas and travel tips. And also, as I mentioned, the member discounts there as well.
Well, good stuff. Well, Jim Linehan, we appreciate your time this morning. Thank you for joining us here on the Digital Desk. You have a good one, all right?
All right, thank you very much.
All right, who's been a fan of the weather we've had for the last 3 days? I mean, has it been amazing or what? And when you have weather like this after the winter and after the last few weeks where we've had these deadly storms, the tornadoes that have ravaged some of the areas, when you have this amazing weather, you want to be outside all the time. And then you think to yourself, if you're like me, I need to go to a festival. I need to see what's happening outside. I want to do all these things outside in Memphis and the Mid-South. That's why we're bringing in Jennifer Chandler, because she is thinking just like we are about all these festivals, drink festivals, food festivals, wine and dine festivals. Jennifer, always great to have you on. What's happening with the festivals?
It's good to be here. And yes, we have some fun stuff coming up for the month of April. There's so many cool things that happen in the city that I decided last year I write a story or kind of a calendar story every month that lists all the cool wine dinners and festivals and really cool kind of out of the box food events that are happening here in Memphis. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, is some of the ones in April. And I'm going to skip ahead. There is one on this Thursday that I wanted to talk about, but I'm going to skip ahead when we were talking about the weather, because this weekend there is so much fun stuff going on all around town that you can get out, you can enjoy this beautiful weather, and have some good food and some good beer. So the first one I want to talk about is this Saturday, April 15th, is Wiseacre's Taste the Rarity, beer festival that they do. And it is a curated festival where they invite all of their craft brewery friends from around the region to come in and do their weirdest beers that they make. So if you are a beer lover, this event is definitely one you need to be. And it's kind of fun because they hold it at their original brewery over on Broad, and it's called Wiseacre OG, and as an original. And it's just a really cool, fun event for beer lovers. And they've been doing it for several years. I should know, I can't remember how many years they've been doing this, but this is kind of one of those things that, and it does sell out. So if you think you're interested in going, you need to probably hop online today, head over to Wiseacre's website and get yourself a ticket. Also this weekend is the Ragin' Cajun Crawfish Festival. And this thing is on Sunday, April 16th, and it's in its 30th year, and it is crazy. They usually cook 15,000 pounds of crawfish. Isn't that crazy? That's a heck of a lot of crawfish, I think.
Love it. Love it.
It's an event that, and what's really cool about this event is it supports Porter Lee, which is a nonprofit that provides social services for at-risk children and families in Memphis. And this is their kind of one of their big fundraisers that they do every year. It's free to attend the event. However, how they do the fundraising is they sell the crawfish, and a bucket is usually about $30. It depends on market price every year, and it's a 3-pound bucket, so that will definitely feed you and a friend, and if you're me, maybe just me. For 3 pounds. I love crawfish. So those are two things to definitely head outdoors this weekend for. I also wanted to mention some of the cool kind of wine dinner, food dinner events that are happening around town. So this Thursday, April 13th, Mosh, which I still call the Pink Palace, has a really cool event that they're calling Unlock the Vault. And what they're going to do is they're going to go and find their artifacts and the treasures that they have in their History and Science Museum vaults, and they're going to bring them out. Like when you walk in the front door, I think you're going to be given white gloves and a cocktail, and you'll get to go back in the vaults and see some of these rare things that are still, you know, no longer on display to the public, but they're true gems of history of Memphis and the region. And Jimmy Gentry, who is the chef and owner of Paradox Catering and the lobbyist at the Chisca restaurant in downtown Memphis, will be doing the food for that event, and he always does an excellent job. And so it will be a kind of fun thing to do that's different, and you'll get to have some great eats. So that's a cool thing. Another thing going on is Salt and Soy chef Brad McClarley has started a Sunday supper pop-up, and he does them periodically, and he had his first one last month, and I went, and this picture is from the first one. He did it with Chef Lee Mitchell, and they had a whole theme of upscale trailer park food, and it was, I have to tell you, so much fun, and the food was really creative. He did Prano pups with kind of like, you know, they have a sushi kind of a Japanese spin there. And so he made these Prano pups with sushi rice that were really good. He had chicken rotel empanadas. So it was kind of a fun, different thing. So on Sunday, April 16th, he is doing it again. Brittany Brown will be the chef that he is partnering with. That's actually his sous chef there. So I don't know what the theme is going to be. But what's nice is you can make a reservation. You don't have to prepay ahead of time. You can just walk in as well. It's kind of from 6 to 8. I would go on the earlier side because we went at like 6:30, and there was 1 or 2 dishes that by the time we got around to ordering it, they were sold out. But it's just kind of a fun, different thing to do on a Sunday night. I also want to mention Vintage 901 when we're talking about food and wine events. So Vintage 901 is April 22nd through 23rd, and it is going to be back in its full glory this year. The past couple of years, it's kind of had abbreviated versions because of all of the pandemic things going on. But it is a wine and food festival that really celebrates community. It's really, really neat. It's going to be, this year, it's going to be at Aero Creative, which is in Midtown. The grand tasting will be that Saturday afternoon and early evening. And you go around and there's going to be multiple wineries there that you can taste. There's going to be lots of great food. Lori Forster, who is a wine sommelier and expert, she's called the Wine Coaches Our Business, and she's going to be back this year, and she's going to be teaching classes during the grand wine tasting, and then the next day on Sunday morning, they have a sparkling brunch that is all about sparkling wines, and it's held at the FedEx Event Center in Shelby Farms Park. And if you haven't been to that venue, it's really cool because it's all glass and it's all overlooking that beautiful Hyde Lake at Shelby Farms. So you can enjoy brunch and learn all about sparkling wines while you enjoy it with some good friends. So Vintage 901 is really kind of a special event. I think this will be the 7th year to happen here in Memphis. And every time I've gone, I've always had a great time. And then one more thing I'm going to mention too that is not just a wine dinner or a festival is cooking classes. Barbecue grilling season is coming up, and Memphis's own Melissa Cookston, who is known as the winningest woman in competition barbecue. She owns Memphis Barbecue Company down in DeSoto County, and she wins many things every year on the competition barbecue circuit. And she has a shop called Barbecue All Stars that she opened, and it's in South Haven. And she's going to be teaching 2 hands-on classes. One is April 15th and one is April 29th. And one is called Beefapalooza, which is about all things beef. And the other one is called Porkapalooza, which is about all things pork. And so it will be kind of a day-long hands-on cooking class where you can really learn from an expert on how to manage your grill. And this is just a taste of all the cool things going on this month in Memphis. I have more listed at commercialappeal.com/food in my story that says my column is called Wine and Dine. Look for the one for April, and you can look at all of these events and just know that this story, I publish it on the 1st of every month, so you can see what's going on and check out some of these, cool things. Obviously we have such great restaurants here in Memphis, but there are also all these people doing things outside of the box than a traditional restaurant or a traditional menu that are worth checking out.
Yes, the creativity that we see in Memphis, it's really like no other. We have great food, we have great restaurants, we have people that really kind of do things in a creative style, and it really allows some of the visitors and guests to kind of get involved. I love it. I love it.
So, Get out there, enjoy the good food and the good weather that we're finally having, and have fun.
Exactly. Jennifer, thank you. Jennifer Chandler, the food reporter, the best one in the Mid-South at commercialappeal.com/food. As always, Jennifer, we really appreciate everything that you do and coming on the digital desk. Thanks very much.
Thanks for having me.
All right, that does it for us here in the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Have yourself a wonderful afternoon. Enjoy the sunshine out there. We have Action News 5's Midday with Ariana Poindexter coming up at the top of the hour. Then you can join us again tomorrow morning for another edition of the Digital Desk that begins at 8 o'clock. Take care.